and welcome to episode 35 of the Pop Shock podcast. We're back, we're here. We have recovered from Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. That was the last episode that I did with Massimo. Go and check that shit out in the channel because Jesus Christ. But this is a
You said different. You said different.
no,
opinions.
we
I
did.
watched
Oh,
that.
we
I was
did.
like,
It's an
oh.
interesting,
I was like,
interesting
wow,
discussion
that's...
that one. But it was fun, and I love you, Mass man.
It was
I can't wait to get Mass
It
back
was
on regular. Anyway, this week though we're starting fresh. We're doing news again. We're doing what you've been watching, and we've got a wee topic, which is kind of news based.
cheeky one.
Yeah, wee cheeky topic.
Mhm.
Chris, I'm joined by Chris, by the way. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Even though I'm shaving, so
I
I'm like a baby
know. If
face,
you're watching the
like,
video,
everybody.
if you're watching the video, Chris
Yeah.
is significantly balder than he's been
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
bottom half of his face.
I'm trying to bring out my strong personality to hide my 5 chins underneath. So like,
I love your chin,
hopefully
man.
that
I'd dream about your chin.
you could live underneath.
So
Get warm and snuggle.
Chris,
Oh,
first thing I want to do before we go into news is ask you a question. What do you think of Netflix right now? What do you think of what Netflix are doing?
I have no idea, man. I don't know what they're
Chris,
doing.
why are they just pissing up the absolute dominance that they had of the streaming industry? Why are they just pissing that up the wall? Like, is that just me?
I don't know.
The thing is,
I don't know because they had the industry by the
Yeah.
balls. By nobody's doing.
they made
this,
all the
and
decisions.
then
Yeah.
I think they. I don't know if they had because they brought up their own their own kind of films, like their Netflix films. I think they thought that was going to be it.
Hmm.
And
They
they're
didn't
just
need
gonna
the third party stuff, the extra shit. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, but you actually was built for
Yeah,
that.
you're like,
people
did
are
you
like, "Oh, I
forget
wanna
that
watch-"
millions of people watch Friends, Breaking Bad, like all these other shows
Yeah,
on Netflix?
it's
Like,
fucking
that's
mental.
why, and all the
Fucking
kids shows like that aren't made by Netflix that kids watch, like that's a huge part of your market.
Industry.
Like, it's insane.
And they fucked it. But also I don't know if they could they have done something like patent. No, they probably couldn't have patented streaming because then everybody's just kind of copied Netflix with Disney
Yeah.
Plus. Like, could they have done that? Do you know?
No, because they didn't
No?
actually.
Is
They
that-
didn't invent streaming. Like streaming was not them. They
okay.
just adopted it and made it huge. So they were pioneers, but they didn't.
Fuck.
They're not. They don't own the copyright for that sort of
Oh,
software.
Because like, what do you think? Are you happy with them, or are you just now neglecting?
I've been playing.
like,
So I've been playing devil's advocate, right? First of all, my first instinct was Netflix. You have no idea how dangerously close most people are to just going back to pirate stuff. Like the thing is, right?
Yeah.
The reason that these streaming services are successful, things like Netflix, Disney Plus, Spotify, even the music ones, right? Whatever. The reason they're successful is because they're slightly more convenient than pirating. They're a bit easier to watch. To watch the whole of Breaking Bad,
You're
it's
right.
easier to just log it to Netflix than it is to download a torrent, right? But only not that much hard. Like it's only a bit easier. See if you make it hard, like harder financially to justify Netflix, people will just go there. I'll put in the extra effort to just go somewhere else. Whether it's something legal or not, I'll just go somewhere else. Like, and I think the majority of people are like that. And it's like it's almost like the goodwill that Netflix have. They're just giving it away, and it's hard, right? Because you're like, right, okay, Netflix. I agree. Creators should always be paid for their work, right? That's the main thing, and pirating stuff, that's the main thing against pirating. The fact it's legal, who cares, right? It's the main thing is like you're not supporting creators, right? That's my main issue with pirating. That's why I don't like doing it. It's because you're not supporting the creators, right? But if Netflix aren't using that revenue to then give something back to the people that they want, and they're just doing another season of some bullshit show that we don't care about, then I don't want to give you my money. Like, because the main reason that we're talking about this, right? They've cancelled the Gorillaz movie. They were doing a full feature-length Gorillaz movie, animated, Damon Albarn voicing it, new songs in it. It was a whole Netflix project. It was so exciting. Jamie, what's his face, that does all the art, was like animating it all and drawing it all. It was, for Gorillaz fans, it was some buzz. And then the budget cuts, we can't afford it. It's been cancelled.
I don't know how. Like they're like.
I wanted.
They were a multi-millionaire like company, and then they've just fucked
So
up. Like, Do you think that's what like they're not getting the
Well,
deals? They stopped it with the Netflix films, so they're not getting the big money
I,
coming in from the big
Chris, I
kind of
honestly think it's just. I
studios.
think they're just out of touch. Like it's as if so.
Really?
So the two major
Oh,
things they've cancelled. Right, I'm going to go back to the Gorillas because they actually released a new album this week that I want to talk about when we get to what you've been watching. But Gorillas, right, fairly niche British band, but they have a huge following and a huge amount of respect within the music industry. And I don't think the people at Netflix recognise that. In the same breath, Mindhunter season 3 has been confirmed that it's not happening. And again,
yeah,
to me, that just speaks to Netflix not having a clue what their audience wants. People love that show. People love David Fincher, and they love those first 2 seasons are so strong. They set it up perfectly for a third season. All the creative geniuses that make that show want to do it, and Netflix are stopping them from doing it. And that's my issue with giving Netflix money. It's not that. That's why I would rather go and steal it from somewhere. Because see if I'm giving you my money, I want you to then go to people like Damon Albarn and David Fincher and let them do creative shit. Not like what you expect, and what they're just raising. So that's the thing as well. They've clearly went back on their word. At first, they said
yeah,
we'll
they've
never
raised the
stop people
prices.
sharing passwords, and we'll never raise prices. Then they stopped people sharing passwords and they raised their prices, and now they're dropping their prices again because people are whitening it up and being like, well, obviously people are
Yeah, why am I
cancelling. Like,
paying
why
that?
else would they drop the prices again? And it's just so it feels they've went through feeling like I don't know, like this nice like creative boost for like people to this just corporate money making like money grubbing company.
Yeah,
Like they've
I think
changed
they
they've
became
lost
too big for their
in the court of
boots.
public opinion. I think they've lost a lot of good faith, and they've went from being like this company that supports. We brought you Stranger Things, we brought you Orange is the New Black, we brought you all these
Yeah.
good shows. Oh no, we just want money. Like that's what it feels like, and it sucks, man.
Do you think do you think that they've actually lost because they were riding that kind of ride of great shows in the beginning? Somehow something's happened where they were just getting average shows that are not like the Orange is the New Black, like Stranger
Daredevil,
Things, like Stranger Things new and Daredevil. Yeah, like now Daredevil's fucking
Disney have just took
Disney
it
Plus
back.
has got
Yeah, yeah.
it. So like everything that Netflix was built on is either going to go away. They're not going to get Stranger Things anymore.
Well,
Like the
Stranger
last
Things is
season will
finishing,
be
yeah,
like
but
yeah. So like
what I can
it's
see
never
happening with
done.
Stranger Things though is them just milking it. I think the main series. I'm glad the main
No,
series is ending because then
hopefully
to
not.
me that Stranger Things story is complete and that's ours. That's fine. And then I think after that they're just going to do what Marvel are doing. They're just going to give everybody a spin off, and there's going to be four. Or The Walking Dead are doing
Ah,
it just now because that's ending. They're just going to give everybody a spin off. They're going to have about 4 different Stranger Things shows. Game of Thrones are sort of doing it, but I heard the House of Dragons is quite good, although I've not watched it. But they'll do that. They'll just the show is finished. Here's all the shite that inevitably gets dragged out of the cow before we shoot it.
like
Like that metaphor got dark, but yeah.
I do know where
And
you're
then in
going
30
there,
years'
but
time, we'll bring that dead cow back to life, and we'll put new actors in it, and we'll
we'll
do
put
it all
makeup on it
again.
and
Like
just say,
that's just what these companies do, man.
oh, it's oh man, you're fucking right. Like one thing, like even like the I loved the Game of
Mm,
Thrones, and I only watched like 2 episodes of the House of Dragon. I think I was like when you got into like the first 3 episodes of it, they were like, oh, the viewership is the same as Game of Thrones when it was launched, and then it died down after the episode 3 and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's like you can kind of get sick of seeing the same shite. I mean, it's kind of good if you see in a game, it's different. I think see if you were to go into a different game and it was a sequel and you were to go backtrack,
Hmm.
it's kind of nice.
Hmm.
But see when you're watching in a show and you're just like, oh for fuck's sake, like oh it's the same fucking room I'm in,
Yeah.
like with just different characters. It's no as fun.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain thing with movies that you or TV shows that you're basically just a passerby, and you can get away with it in games because you're the main kind of
Yeah.
character that's driving
Yeah.
it. But in movies, if you keep saying the same shite over and over again, you get disturbed
Yeah.
and saying, "I'm no why to watch this
Yep.
again."
And
Like so,
that's what you're
weird.
kind of talking about is why the Last of Us series is so good. I think that's what they've nailed.
Oh, it's
That's
so
what
good.
they've absolutely
It's
nailed.
so good. It's so fresh. It's something fucking different.
We'll
But
talk about Last of Us when we get there. But I
oh yeah, we'll give it a wee. But I'm shocked that they actually cancelled. Like even fucking Mindhunter, I'm raging about
I
that.
know.
That
I
was
know.
one of the things that made me buy Netflix because I was that fucking hell.
Yeah.
This is one thing, and then now the Gorillas movie's axed. Granted, it's animation, so it might take a shit ton of money.
Mm.
So, but yeah,
They've also got rid of. I watched Dark, which was the German series. It was kind of like
mhm.
Stranger Things. They made a sequel to that called like 1899 or something. They've cancelled that as well this year. Yeah, they're just and people were mad about
who's
that. I
actually-
didn't really mind about that one, but yeah, people are pissed at that as well.
Did you know they have video games as well? On
Yeah,
Netflix?
they've got games on it now.
What a waste of
I know.
fucking
To me,
budget
the
that was.
only one worth
Fuck.
playing to me. I didn't play this on Netflix. I played it on PlayStation, but I get sent a review code actually when I reviewed it on Fandomwire, so you can find that and I'll try and link it. But
You like?
I really liked it. It's called 12 Minutes. It's like a top-down point and
Uh-huh.
click game. It's got Willem Dafoe, Daisy Ridley, and James McAvoy, and it's solid.
Wow.
Yeah,
Fucking hell.
and it's
Sounds
just the
like
three of them.
a
Just the three of them. That's it. The whole game takes place in one room, and this 12 minutes keeps repeating itself. So like, if you die, you start the 12 minutes again, and then it's like a puzzle game. You have to work out how to get to the solution.
Oh, do you know what I've just
What?
noticed? It's the fucking CEO, Ted Sanders or
Yeah.
Sanders. He fucking joined in 2020. That's when
That's
all
when it
this
all went to
went
shit.
to shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's when COVID happened. That's everything's fucked.
Colin's Netflix fault confirmed.
Exactly.
We just become the
Oh,
Joe
man,
Rogan
it comes
podcast.
from
Just start
top.
throwing out my conspiracies.
Exactly. But yeah, like, see, like, even like, see when I got the email saying,
I
well,
look
it's
like
going to be
Jimmy
15
Neutron.
quid a
Sorry,
month.
I'm just messing with my hair.
No, I was actually going to
I look like
complain
Jimmy
on your hair.
Neutron.
Your
Don't
hair's
I?
actually very,
I need
very
to
full.
cut it.
Like it's,
I need to cut it. Sorry,
no,
that's for audio listeners. This is terrible.
No, but you can grow it. It's like it looks like you've got wax in your hair.
I have nothing in my hair. I've got showered, just dried shower gel.
What's that natural oil? Fuck. But see, when I got the email saying you're now getting to £15 a month, I was happy with it because I was like, do you know what? I watch it maybe weekly. I'm enjoying it. But now I'm thinking, fuck, if some other cunt in America is getting it cut back down to 6, I'm like, well, I'm cancelling it. Fuck you. Like, I'm getting charged so much more money. Oh, but yeah.
So moral of the story is Netflix. Listen, I get that you need to pay your creators, but
What are you
see if you're wanting our money, give us a reason to give you your money. If not, people are just going to stream. I'm afraid that's just the way it is.
What would you say if like, at the moment, what are you using Netflix daily? Like, what is your kind of, do you go on to watch anything now?
Honestly,
or do you go on to watch
Netflix.
an old live?
I don't watch anything. There's nothing coming out on Netflix that I'm like, yes. The stuff on Netflix I'm watching just now is just kind of background noise. Like Greg Davies, we were talking about stand-up comedians earlier. I really like Greg Davies. 2 of his shows have been put on Netflix, so I've been just having them on as background noise because I just like having comedy on. But yeah, just shit like that. Like there's no like a show that I'm like week to week need to watch this. To me, now that's The Last of Us. But nah, Netflix don't have anything like that. No, and Netflix haven't for a while had anything like that for me. To be honest, it's mostly just let's stick Friends on, let's stick Breaking Bad on, let's stick. Do you know what I mean? But it's just background noise.
It's historical. It's historical. Like even like when Seinfeld came on, I was
I'm
going to watch
like
Seinfeld. I've never watched
it.
But like it's never like, oh, there's a new show that I'm interested in.
Because new shows look shite. Like, I've seen some of the trailers and I'm like, what is this pish, man? Obviously, maybe there's an audience. I don't know, but I just don't know. Anyway,
but like. See after like just the last point. See after they fucked up The Witcher. Now they've fucked up with fucking Cavill leaving, Henry Cavill. It's just going to be. I'm not even going to watch the last book because I've been listening to the books.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
you
my
just
god,
follow that.
they've literally fucked the whole fucking show. And it's not great.
Yeah. On to slightly better news. Pivoting to superhero stuff. So Stephen Yeun had a pretty good year last year. He was in Nope, following on for Oscar-nominated role in Minari. Stephen Yeun's great. He was one of the best things about The Walking Dead, I think.
He was. I loved him. With Glenn, man.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking. He was.
But he's joining the MCU, which. See, before I would be like, yes, an actor I like joining the MCU, good for them, some buzz. See, this point, if you want to know why I feel like it's going much of that man episode, but I'm like, is this a poison chalice? Like, are you coming to a dead franchise? Like, yeah, I don't know. But listen, I didn't even
watch the Ant-Man film. I just watched the reviews from you, and I was like, I agree with Dan.
That sounds accurate. So in terms of specifics, we don't really have many. Stephen Yeun he's joining the Thunderbolts, but we don't know who he's playing. There's a bit of speculation, but we don't know who he's playing, so there's no point speculating. But other superhero news, I think, is a bit more interesting. Interesting is a good word because I don't know if it's positive or negative necessarily. they're doing a new Hellboy film, Chris. They're taking another swing at Hellboy already.
But it's animation though.
No,
Is it
is
not?
it? No, I think it's live
Is it
action.
not? I thought it was the game that were taking it
No,
the
no. So
information from the game.
the image. I think the reason you think that is because the image that I put in the chat is from the game.
I
No,
went
no,
to do
no,
it, yeah,
no.
that's why. That's
No,
why.
no. It's a live action movie. They're recasting Hellboy.
Oh.
It's not going to be Ron Perlman. It's not going to be David Harbour.
Oh, why?
But why? Yeah, exactly. Like we're saying about
why?
Netflix, right? If you've got creative people there, like what we're saying about David Fincher, if you've got Guillermo del Toro, one of the greatest creative minds living, working,
Who
who
wants to do it?
Like, Ron Perlman's still, even though Ron Perlman's old at this point, he's he's a granda, he still wants to do it. Why not do it? Like, why? It's there. Like, it's on a plate. Just eat it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's right there. No, we're going to recast again. We're going to do it. We're going to redo it because last time that worked so well for us. It's like, no. And again, how did you make me... Like, I love David Harbour. How did you make me almost, like, doubt David Harbour by that last movie? Like, honestly, how shit that last film was. Like, Ian McShane, David Harbour, Mila Jovovich. Like, I like all those people. That movie was garbage, man.
That was garbage.
Shite, man. The closest, probably the closest I've ever came to walking out of the cinema. I was this close,
halfway.
man. I was like,
this is
I kept looking at the corner and going, shall we go? And I was like, keep 5 minutes, keep 5 minutes, keep 5 minutes. Oh my God, it's still on and it's still shite. My God.
See, I don't even know. I think it was like spoilers for that fucking people
Who
shit.
cares?
Like,
Yeah.
like, I think there's a scene in it. I don't even know if it's in the beginning, but there was like a boxing ring, and the guy turns into like a bat. That's when I fucking turned and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, it's
like,
not a good movie.
oh, you've killed him. You've killed this fucking guy within 2 minutes. Oh, great!
Some of the character design was alright. I didn't mind the big monsters that came out of London at the end. The big they were kind of cool. Yeah, they were alright. And some of the bits in Hell when he had the big horns and he was like flying the dragon, that was like some of it visually was okay. Some of it visually was horrible. See when again spoilers. Yeah. See when Ian McShane died and then like his ghost came out of his chest and it was like this gooey snake with his face. Oh, that was the ugliest thing I was like, what am I looking at? Honestly,
you don't know if it's deliberate or just like the budget of
CGI. So this is just done a review for Hellboy 2019, which I also have a review for on BGCP. Believe it or not, that's how old that is. I'll try and remember it like that below. I don't know if I'll be able to find that, but yeah.
Do you think this? Do you think this is just like they're discussing filming, so it's not actually.
It's on the way. It's not started. No, production starting next month. Production is starting it.
Oh, so they've cast it?
I guess after that, yeah, you would think so.
Fuck.
They've just not revealed it yet. Who knows?
I mean,
I don't envy whoever is playing Hellboy. Like after David Harbour, like I was watching an architectural digest video with David Harbour and Lily Allen because they live together.
I saw that one as well.
And he's got he's got a really nice dressing room with all suits and stuff, and he's got. And in one of his drawers, he's got a framed picture of him as Hellboy, and he says, "I just keep that there. I just keep that there to remind myself if I'm ever getting too big-headed, I look at that and I go, it could all still go wrong. I could still lose it all." And I was like, "That is brilliant. I love the fact that he's kept that as a sign. Like this could all go to shit still. Like nothing's guaranteed." I was like, "That's good for you." I love David Harbour's quality. That was a terrible film, man.
Like, see, be honest, I never really had a problem with. I think they need to get. I think there's a lot of like hardship around the first two with the Ron.
Ron Perlman.
I like Ron Perlman. There's a lot of love there, and the fact that I think that's what's going to hold this film back and again. Like as soon as this comes out, there's going to be so much hatred.
Yeah. Why are you not just getting Guillermo?
Just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, see if they'd done animation, I would be okay.
I would prefer that because then it would be like there's less to lose rather than doing another big budget mess. Yeah. Anyway, hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully this is great. Maybe it'll be brilliant. Maybe it'll be better than the Ron Perlman movies. I doubt it, but maybe. You never know.
I love the like kind of the aggression in me saying I doubt it. Like, I doubt
it. So, Chris, the last superhero thing I want to touch on before we pivot to video game stuff. We haven't spoke since the Flash trailer dropped, and I know that must have been a big deal for you.
Yes.
Yes. I wanted to just briefly touch on it because we've not even mentioned it in this podcast. So, I think at this point that it's been a few weeks, I've watched the trailer again. And we will go through the thoughts on that. But what I feel like since it's been a few weeks since it dropped, since the Super Bowl, CC and Marvel kind of losing it a bit. I feel like they've kind of they're right at the finish line for the top of the Super Bowl. I don't even know if that makes sense. I don't
Right,
understand
I
the
was
rules
going to
of
say, you
American
don't
football,
know.
but they're right at the line, right, where you need to put the ball down for a touchdown or whatever you call it, right? And they're just fumbling the ball, and here's DC running towards them, ready to take the ball after them, like, come here, you bastard. Like, that's what it feels like. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
Oh,
they were so close to just nailing it, and they've just not. Um,
yeah. Especially with such a big character, like they're trying to set up a new Thanos and they fucked it so
yeah.
far.
Listen, like I
It's
said, you can go into all the detail stuff in that one episode, but DC amazingly seem to have a brighter future.
it's somehow
They
revived.
seem to have a brighter future than Marvel at this point, and that's insane to me.
I would like to say, what do you think? Began is it? What's his name again? Ezra Miller. Ezra
Yeah.
Miller. I want to hear your perspective on that trailer. From like, what do you think? Is that trailer turned your perspective on his acting ability, or are you still pissed off at him and you don't want him to play Flash ever again? But is it good? Because he's going to be the magnum opus for DC restarting itself. And do you want that to be?
So, with regards to Ezra Miller specifically, I think this has worked out perfectly for DC in a way, because here's an actor who has completely pissed their career up the wall, like absolutely just any chance of wanting to work with this person is now like surely nobody wants to work with Ezra Miller, right? So that's there, right? This kind of old lineup, the old guard of the Justice League have kind of all disappeared. Like, okay, Affleck's in this, but probably going to be Affleck's last performance. It's Cavill's out. Don't know about Gal Gadot, but it sounds like they're phasing out all the old cast. So it's kind of it's only Ezra Miller that's left, and I think that the opportunity to use them once in this movie and then just be like, that's it, done, tie a bow, bye-bye, let's move on. Like, I think that's just with James Gunn taking over, I think that's just happened at the perfect time. And it's like, do you know what? Let's just put Ezra on the market for everything, because we only need to do it once. Like, they know they only need to do it the once. They don't ever need to do it again. So we've thrown all this money in. There's two versions of Ezra Miller in the movie, so too much effort to edit around it. So let's just go all in. Some people will be really pissed off and they'll boycott the movie. Some people will, like superhero people, will still go and see it, and then see after that it won't matter. Like, I genuinely think that's the mentality. So yeah,
I think they're going to set up. There's going to be either Ezra Miller at the end of it, he gets into a new universe. He gets he does what he's bit with Michael Keaton. Sadly, I think he would be a great kind of start off for Batman Beyond, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to get to Ben Affleck, do his bit, then go to Keaton's world, and then do his bit, and then go to a separate world, and then somehow die.
or get stuck or something.
Or something. Or he sees another version of himself that is not Ezra Miller, and you can tell it's not him or something.
It's the one for the TV show,
and then he'll die. Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, all right, okay, this is a new world, and then you can maybe even start there. And you're like, all right, okay, drop a wee like a Superman cape or something. The way the James Gunn wants Superman to look, you could see him in the background or something, or he picks him up or something. I don't know, but I'm actually kind of gutted because the Michael Keaton actually looks fucking amazing. So I'm actually gutted to know.
Right, that's when I said I wanted to speak to you about the trailer. That's what I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, granted, it looks a bit fucking weird.
Is it too fan servicey, or do you not care because it's Michael Keaton?
Oh, I do not give a fuck.
Like the fact that he literally just walks on, looks right at the camera, and goes, "I'm Batman."
I'm Batman.
It's like, okay,
yeah!
sure.
No, it's so weird because even at one point you see him fighting, and you're like, "This is still not working."
Well, that's what I was going to say.
He's doing this.
That's what surprised me. As you're saying, Chris, I expected him to be more of a sort of
old man kind of
influence.
Thing, a mentor.
Yeah, like a mentor type. Somebody that's just there to sort of give advice and be the kind of man in the chair, the kind of Lucius Fox, like whatever.
Yeah.
But No, he's in a cape and he's cutting about and he's fighting guys.
He's got multiple
In
costumes.
fact,
Did you see
yeah,
it?
yeah.
It's fucking
And
amazing.
in fact, not only that, Michael Keaton in this movie, as a 70-year-old man or whatever age Michael Keaton is more fluid and moving around more than he was 30 years ago in those Tim Burton movies. All of a sudden,
I
he's like
know.
a rubber CGI man that's just like an actual bat just flying about. And before he was like,
Oh.
like, okay, but I mean, it's a kind of Star Wars effect, right? It's the same with Star Wars. Like when you watch the prequels and you've got modern backflips and shit, and then you go back and you watch Alec Guinness fighting, and it's,
He's like,
do you know what I mean?
oh,
Yeah, it's, I guess it's just
jab.
filmmaking has changed a great deal over the last 40 years, and that's just a byproduct
Aye.
of that. But yeah,
One thing, like I know physicists and people that love gravity and things like that will hate this because Michael Keaton was flying around like a man with no fucking wings. like
was
that
weird.
is just not possible. Like he was like doing a backflip at one point. I was like, that is just not like I love it. The visual effects is fantastic, but this would not fucking work. He would get shot or something. Because I think all the guys he was like flying away from all had like automatic weapons, and I'm like, yeah, that suit's not like armor proof. That's like rubber. like so,
Yeah,
he's fucked. But no, I think like, and also it showed like I don't know if it was in the trailer, but it was like a kind of screenshot of Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, but like in like a kind of workman outfit, and he was just kind of you could tell that he's kind of insane because he kind of had that vibe of let's get nuts.
yeah.
Kind of thing. you know,
The best line
he's
in the
like
movie.
kind of staring, like he's like
Look at
yeah.
that!
So
Let's
this
get nuts!
Batman's went that Batman's went fucking mental. But
Well,
I mean,
there is. I don't think they ever made it, but I remember when I was young reading about. I think this was in like a games magazine, but I don't know. It was in some entertainment magazine. Maybe it was just like the Enemy or something. I don't know. Right? They were talking about a concept for either a comic or a movie. I can't remember about an old Batman who is absolutely just like he's an alcoholic.
mental.
Like he keeps a hip flask and he carries a gun now because he's like 70 and he just shoots guys. Like he's just an old man. He's too slow, so he just shoots them. And Robin's still with him, and Robin's like in his 50s or 40s or whatever, and he's blind,
Jeez.
so he wears like a blindfold, and he's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like Damian Wayne because he had a katana. I remember they were saying, and he's just this insane blind guy. It just chalks people up. And Batman just cuts a bit behind him, shooting people. And it was going to be about like them realizing that that's wrong and kind of going back to being heroes again. That's kind of was the point.
Was Frank Miller
I
involved?
think he might have
was he
been.
gonna-
I think he might have been.
I feel like that's something he would.
But at the time, I remember being like that. I remember I was probably about 12, and I was like, "That sounds so cool." But they never made that, I guess. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
But like, do you think though? Do you think there's any? What do you think about Michael Keaton? Are you like you had some strong opinions? What do you think?
I'm glad to have him back because Michael Keaton, and it's to me that's not quite like seeing for me seeing Toby again as Spider-Man was like the thing.
That was pinnacle,
because that was more my childhood, whereas Michael Keaton's more like my dad's childhood, I guess, or like my kind of people that are a bit older. But it's still a big part of growing up, and being a superhero fan.
I'm older at heart. So when I saw Michael, I was like, yes.
It's still the part of growing up being a superhero fan, but I think I would have preferred to see him as the Batman Beyond type Bruce Wayne, as opposed to this guy that's still active Batman and he's still flying about and stuff.
He's still kicking ass. Like,
I don't know. Maybe it'll feel different in the movie, but in the trailer it felt a bit fancy everything. Also, it's weird seeing him in the daylight because you've only ever seen him in the dark, and then in this trailer you see the suit in the daylight, and you're like it looks good, but you're like, I've never seen that before. Like it's just a weird feeling. You're like, oh, didn't expect that.
But that's a good point. Like, see when I saw Toby in the Spider-Man No Way Home, I got like emotional. I was like, oh, fucking hell, Toby. When I saw Michael Keaton, I was like, yes. So it must have been like it was like a more emotional thing with Toby.
Right.
And there was for this, I was like, yes, like this. I've wanted to see this Batman being fucking not old, but like in charge a little bit more.
Do you think that Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck will have any interaction, or do you think the Flash will just go between? Because that'd be cool. of them. Even just a conversation,
I,
just like a brief scene.
I don't
Because
unless he drags
that
him
was the
in.
best thing about
I don't know.
Spider-Man was when the three of them were all talking. Like that was my favorite bit was when Garfield, Maguire, and Holland were all speaking about the different how one of them can make webs and how they have to like whatever. That was the best part of the movie. So if they do that with Batman as well, I think that'd be really cool. If Ben Affleck was
See,
like, "Do you kill people?" and he's like, "Yes," and he's like, "Oh, me too," because they both kill people. Like, and Christian
they
Bale's in the
both kill
corner,
people.
like, "No."
Whoa, what are you doing? No, there's only one thing that I would love if what they do with the kind of Flash story is when they do the kind of this kind of I don't even know what they're called. My God, I'm useless now. But it's like when he goes back any time and he sees it's usually a different alternative version and it's his dad,
Mhm,
so it's
mhm,
Thomas
mhm.
Wayne, and
Flashpoint
he's
Batman.
became
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's been Flashpoint. Yeah, like he usually writes a letter to Bruce. So when he goes back, and maybe it's like I don't know how that would work if Michael Keaton wrote a letter to
See,
Ben Affleck. It would be like,
see
oh
something
well,
else.
okay.
I guess they could still do this, but I don't think it'll be a big part of the movie if they do it. Probably more be like a cameo. But I know that something that was originally planned by Zack Snyder and was canned was the idea of doing a
Uh-huh.
Flashpoint Batman movie. Like that's why Zack Snyder cast what's his name, Negan, Jeffrey Dean
Negan,
Morgan. That's why he cast
Jeffrey
Jeffrey Dean
Morgan,
Morgan
yeah.
as Thomas Wayne, and that's why he cast Lauren Cohen as Martha, because
The Joker,
he was
yeah.
going to do Flashpoint. She was going to be Joker. He was going to be Batman. That I still want to see that movie. I don't think we'll get to now, but that would have been cool. And maybe they'll work it into this. Maybe they'll just have a brief cameo where like we see Jeffrey Dean Morgan Batman. I don't know, but
Do
that'd
you
be
know
so
what I
good.
don't
Make that movie,
understand?
James Gunn.
Do you know,
Like,
do you know what I don't understand? Right, see Ezra Miller, right? He's the only one that's another Flash, and he's no different.
mhm,
So there's
mhm.
a Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck. So in my mind, I would think, oh, you would see Ben Affleck, but in a yellow suit or
I
something.
agree, right?
Why the fuck are they all the? Why is he the
I
same everywhere?
I agree, but Marvel's also the same thing. Like you've got three different Spider-Men
Yeah.
that all look different, but in Doctor Strange they were all Benedict Cumberbatch. So I'm kind of like, do you know
Oh
what?
yeah, well,
Who cares? Like it's
okay,
superhero
yeah.
shit.
Who
Like
cares?
it doesn't make sense. You're right, but at the same
The
time,
thing is,
we're going through different
this
like
movie's not going to matter. Like
yeah.
this
Other than
movie's not
resetting
really
it,
going
yeah,
to give
it's
a
not
fuck.
going to actually matter. Yeah. But do you know what?
I,
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm more excited for
it
this
looks
than
good.
anything Marvel have got coming. I am way more
Oh
excited
yeah.
for this, and that
Do you
shouldn't be the
think? Do you
case.
think
But
the Marvel juice is just kind of faded now?
I
Do you think
think
that that's it done,
I
and they're
think
more waiting?
I genuinely think they're at the stage where they're on the ropes. I think they were
Wow.
doing okay before they were taking a, if I were going with boxing metaphors for some reason, right? Maybe it's because Creed's coming out. So they're taking a few hits, right, but they're still up, and that's what was happening. And then Ant-Man, what's it called? The one with Kang, the one we were speaking about last week, happened.
Quantumania.
Yes, they
Quantumania.
wasted Kang. They didn't set up Phase 5 well enough. Pissed off a lot of Marvel fans that put them on the ropes. So I think that's where they are. They are at this point. They're teetering, and I think the only thing that can pull them back after the ropes is if Spider-Man comes in and becomes the new center of this universe. I think Spider-Man's the one part that they can still bank on. If they make Spider-Man the new Tony Stark, like they make him
Wow. Really?
and build everything around Tom Holland going forward, then I think that's the only real way they can sustain. I think other than that, it will fizzle out. I think what you do is you make Spider-Man 3, they're going to tie Daredevil Born Again into it, and then
Hmm.
I would sort of make Spider-Man. Yeah, I would make him the. I'm not saying he needs to be Avenger again right away. You don't really need. You can let the Avengers be shit, whatever, right? You've already set up all the Kang stuff, so just let all that play out, whatever, right? Have Spider-Man. The thing that you should be trying to make fans care about is Spider-Man on a street level, interacting with Daredevil, bring in Punisher, bring in Kingpin, do all that shit, and then once you're two Avengers movies that have been announced throughout the way, then do Spider-Man is now like by that point, Tom Holland will be 30s, early 30s. Make him Tony Stark, just make him the lead Avenger and do that's what I would bank on if I was Marvel at this point. And I think that would be it would come across as a bit desperate because I don't think that's ever
Yeah.
been the plan. But I think at this
No.
point it's kind of the only chance we've got. Maybe I'm wrong. They're still a huge company. Ant-Man still make a shit ton of money. Like Ant-Man still sold tons of tickets. It's getting terrible word of mouth, but
Yeah.
they don't care. See, as long as they make money, that's all that matters. So, will the bad word of mouth of
Wow.
Ant-Man have an effect on the next Avengers movie? Will the fact that it's the first Avengers movie since Thanos be enough for people to go and see it? I, probably. It probably won't matter.
Do you think? Do you think they just went on? They just continued the train without. They could have just stopped.
They continued the
And
train.
Thanos took a break.
Chris,
Took a
they
break and
continued the
then
train
just
without a
started.
driver. That's a good metaphor. Let's just go on
Yeah,
metaphors a day, right? The train just kept
that's
driver
good.
took a heart
That's
attack,
good.
died in the seat, and the train just kept going. That's what happened, right?
That was right. To make it a bit more morbid, that was Stan Lee. Like he
Whoa.
died.
Jesus.
That was, and then the train just
Um,
just went away. Oh fuck, that was bad. Marvel fans are going to
what I
kill
was
kill
going to
me.
say, like my metaphor wasn't quite dark because I'm talking about fictional character. Thanos died. That was the thing that died. Thanos died, and they didn't have a replacement. Thanos was the thing driving the MCU forward. And then when you take him out of the equation, you take Tony and Captain America out of the equation. They're just left with the scraps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think there.
What's
I think they started.
what's
The
fascinating about Marvel, right?
continued.
I feel we should move on to more news because we're getting bogged down here. But just before
Uh-huh.
we do, the fascinating thing about Marvel, I went back. So last week on the episode I'd be Massimo, when we were talking about Ant-Man, I referenced the fact that I predicted this in the episode that we done, me, you, and Courtney did. I think it was episode 6 of the Pop Shop podcast. We did predictions for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
We did.
And on that episode,
did.
I actually went back and listened to the podcast to find out. I think it was about an hour 20 in, an hour 20 minutes in. I go on this big rant about how are Marvel writing themselves into a corner by introducing the multiverse. I was basically positing the theory that at the end of Doctor Strange, Wanda closes the multiverse because you've had No Way Home, you've had your multiverse adventures, close it now and do a more focused story we can. That was what I was sort of like suggesting almost, right, as if MD from Marvel listens to me, right? But that's what I was kind of positing, right? That's what I would do if I was in charge, right? They didn't do that, obviously. They continue with the multiverse shit, and now I feel like they're at that point that they have written themselves into a corner. I mean, Ant-Man, again, you can hear my full thoughts in that episode. I don't want to go over it all again, but the first hour of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is just an extended episode of Rick and Morty, but without any like adult jokes. It's just like a sanitized, clean version of Rick and Morty before we even see Kang. And it's like that's what I meant by writing yourself into a corner. And I feel like I don't know, I just you know what, like I said, go on and listen to last week's episode. But I feel like my predictions came true. I feel like they're at a point now they don't know what they're doing. They've written themselves into a corner. Where do we go for you?
It's sad because
And that's
like,
why I'm saying
it's
they
a
have
lot
to
of
go back to
great-
Spider-Man. That's basically their only hope, I think, now because they've just made an arse of it. But listen,
They should stop. Just
people,
stop.
but they won't because people are buying tickets. See, as long as people are buying tickets, they won't stop. That's the thing. It's the same with what we're going to talk about with live service games. If people still buy it, it won't stop. That's a good segue. Let's go into video game.
There we go.
Let's go into video game news before we get to the depressing live service stuff. There are a few video game related news stories I want to talk about. The first thing is Blumhouse, the horror company or the company best known for making horror stuff. They are doing a gaming department. They are launching a video game publishing studio. They are going to bring creators. They're partnering with independent games from developers to bring their creative vision to life via original horror themed games for console, PC, and mobile.
Wow.
That's exciting to me.
So are they going to be like the hub? Are they going to be like the kind of?
They're going to put the money in. They're going to be the money people, I guess. They're going to let creators come up with ideas, and they're just going to fund it. And to be fair, that's what Blumhouse have done as a movie studio, and overall, it's worked. Like they've had a lot of misses. I've got Mithrigan in my what you've been watching. I'm going to slag the shit out of that movie when I get to it. But but the point is, Blumhouse, they take a lot of ideas in their hand, right? What's all these metaphors I'm doing? They take like they take a big handful of ideas, right, and then they get a big board and they throw them off the board, and about half of them stick. And you know what? That's not a bad rate. Like it's not great that half of them are shit, but see the half that are good, you've got solid movies in there. You've got some creative stuff that wouldn't have get made otherwise, and you're like, do you know what? It's worth it. Like the good outweighs the bad. It's to me like okay, Blumhouse. It's not a guarantee of quality. It's not like A24. I see A24. I'm like right, this is going to be a good experience. Even then, that's not true because they made The Lighthouse, which I hated, in good time. But anyway, overall, they've got a better track record. Right, is what I'm saying. Blumhouse don't have that behind them, but see the fact that they are just the kind of company that are just like, let's just give it a go. Let's just give people
Let's do
money.
it. Yeah.
That's what Netflix need to be doing, and that's what Blumhouse do. And therefore,
Netflix get like a Blumhouse
that's
to
why
it.
I'm excited about this. It's not because I think Blumhouse are this quality company that never get it wrong, but they give people a chance, and that's what I want to see. And listen, more creative horror
That's
games,
good.
I'm not against that, because I do feel like for a long
No.
time horrors became, there was like a period about 10 years ago, between 5 and 10 years ago, where indie horror games were astonishing.
They're the thing.
You had like Amnesia, you had Slender Man, you had all these experiences that were brilliant, simple concepts that people made in their room, in their basement, and then they went on to be huge successes on Steam, and then whatever, they get milked and turned into franchises and whatever. Five Nights at Freddy's, which I hate, is also an example of that. But
But that's
there's
good.
no
I mean,
denying the size of it. Like, as much as
yeah.
it's not my thing, kids love it and it's huge. So fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Right now, that seems to have dried up. Every horror game, as a somebody that's reviewing a bunch of games and has reviewed a bunch of horror games, they all feel very, very samey, very, very similar.
Yeah.
Nobody's moving the needle. Nobody's doing something really different. It's been a long time since I've played a horror game and went, "Oof, that's different." It's either the original new IP horror games that are coming out, and I'm doing air quotes for audio listeners. They're basically just Amnesia. They're just like running about as a protagonist. You don't have a weapon. You've got a torch. You need to find notes, or you need to do a puzzle. That Do Not Open's another some example. It was like an escape room, so that was a twist, but it's still the same game. It's either that, right, or it's like legacy stuff. You've got Resident Evil 4 remake happening. You've got the Dead Space remake
Oh,
this year, which was
I was
great.
being quiet with the Resident Evil stuff. I was waiting to see if when you
No,
bring
the
that
thing
up.
is, like, I know that we talk about Resident Evil every week, but the point is, the reason that we keep talking about it is because so much
Good.
in the industry now is based on nostalgia, and it's based on rechugging old stuff. And as long as it's done well, we don't tend to mind. I like Resident Evil 2, and I really like the Dead Space remake. Again, reviewing Fandom Wire for that. The thing is, though, there's no original new ideas. It's either let's make a game that's just Amnesia with a different environment, or let's go and remake a game from 10 years ago. Like, that's the options now for horror games. And if this breathes new life into actual new ideas, then I'm 100% behind it. I think that's exciting.
But the juicy gem about this place is it's not like EA. It's an independent company launching games, which could
Yeah,
potentially, if they get like a good game that people are
there
behind,
could be a
Sony or EA might buy
there could
it,
be a competition for
and then
like your big companies like EA.
could be.
Yeah,
But it's getting people out there. Like, I
yeah,
think that's what's kind of
yeah,
stuck. Like, as you were saying, like, it's quite hard to get traction if you're making a
yeah,
small game. Some people get it; it's
yeah.
amazing. But if you put your heart and soul into a game and you launch it on Steam and
Nobody
it's
buys it.
not maybe shown, nobody gives a
That's
shit. So it's good that
I
they've
mean,
got that.
we could do a whole episode, I think, on like shovelware on Steam, the amount of shite that gets put in Steam that
Yeah,
that isn't curated. Like the fact that Steam is just a
a
big
hub.
bargain bin. Let's be honest, it's just a big bargain bin, especially
Yeah,
with Steam sales. Like that's all you're really looking through. It's like remember in the old days, you just go to Blockbuster and it would be like £1 DVDs. That's the same feeling I get when
yeah,
I get a
same
Steam
thing.
sale, and it's not curated enough. To be honest with you, the PlayStation stores going the same way. And it's
Is it? Is it just a
and
big
to
dump?
me, it all started from mobile. Like, see, Android and the iTunes store, they started it. It was them that just had hundreds of shite,
Their fault.
hundreds of
Their
shite. They had
fault.
about 5 premium experiences, and then everything else was just shovelware. And PC, Steam did it, and now it's coming to consoles. And yeah, as I said, that could be its whole own topic. It's a big issue, but it is what it is.
The good thing is they're not shying away from just one particular genre, or like they've got the not genre, but they've got like the console on there, they've got the PC and mobile, so like they're not shying away saying, oh,
And
we
that, well,
just want PC
what you're
things,
saying about genre, to
you
be
know.
fair, like Blumhouse, okay, they are promoting horror, but even movies like Upgrade isn't really a horror movie. Upgrade's more a sci-fi action movie with slight kind of body horror elements, I guess, because he's like possessed by this AI. I would still wouldn't call it a horror movie. So they have done things outside of, and I remember when I was watching Upgrade thinking this would be an awesome video game. So there you go. Do you know what I mean? Like make an Upgrade game or make ideas like
Oh
that.
fuck, hell.
What?
The Black Phone was produced
Yeah,
by. I love that
that's what I'm
film.
saying. They
Ah,
have
well,
some
give
hits.
it
They
one.
have some hits.
Yeah,
Absolutely. They make some shite like Mithrigan, but they also make some good shit like the Black Phone and Upgrades, like 100%.
yeah. Oh, and Get Out as well.
Yep. Yeah, it
Apparently,
was their.
that
Yeah, that was their probably their biggest moment. That was like also that won Oscars and shit. That movie. That's probably their most successful. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Was that
They, it
their?
was,
Is
there you
that
go. It's
their
them that gave Jordan.
magnum opus?
Talking about you saying about them giving people a chance. They gave Jordan Peele a chance, and look what he's done. Like,
And he's built a
do you know what I mean?
franchise.
Exactly. Like he's
That
one of
one
the
movie.
biggest horror directors in the world now, and it's because of Blumhouse. So yeah,
So if they can do that, I'm all game.
yeah,
Because
me
like
too.
that's one thing you were really passionate about in a couple of other conversations was there's only going to be a small group of game developers now, and we've no got any of this. So if Bloomhouse are willing to fling their hat in the ring,
Yep.
fucking more
Yeah, as
to
you
them.
said,
You know.
competition is healthy for the market and for the consumer, for us, for people buying games and reviewing games. It's healthy
Yeah.
competition. So aye, more of that, please. Um,
Bring it on.
Pivoting to slightly sadder news. I don't know if you call it sad news. You can look at it a few ways. Shinji Mikami, talk about Resident Evil, the godfather of survival horror. Shinji Mikami, he basically made the first two Resident Evil
It's
games,
leaving.
directed them,
Yeah.
wrote them. He's the Hideo Kojima of Resident Evil. What
Horror.
Kojima is to Metal Gear, he is to. So he done those, and then he left Capcom, and he went and did the Evil Within games, which were solid, by the way. Both games are brilliant.
They were really good.
And then he did a game called Vanquish before Evil Within. Between Resident Evil and Evil Within, he did Vanquish, which was like a sci-fi third person, like almost like anime, futuristic, cyberpunky. I loved that game. Vanquish was a shit ton of fun. I think that was his last Capcom game, and then he went to Tango Gameworks. They made the two Evil Within games, and then they made the Tokyo Ghostwire, which I've not played yet. I've got it. I've got a
No,
copy of
I've
it,
not
but I've
played
not
that.
popped it in yet. And then they just made a game called Hi-Fi Rush, which is like a 2D animated, almost like Saturday morning cartoon, like action, third-person action game, not horror-based at all. So it's totally moving away from horror. Shinji Mikami has now announced that after 12 years he's leaving Tango Gameworks. Hi-Fi Rush is his last project with them, and he's leaving. So you might think, first of all, oh, that sucks, because apparently in Hi-Fi Rush they sort of tease the Evil Within 3, like it's referenced. So people are gutted
Oh
because it
wow.
looks like they're now going to be doing Evil Within 3 without Mikami.
Without
But
him. Mhm.
if he's leaving, I can see him doing the same thing Hideo Kojima did when he left Konami. Start his own company, start Mikami Productions the way that Kojima's got Kojima Productions, and just make your own weird, interesting shit. And again, that to me is way more exciting than these big companies just churn out the same third person, first person shooter, the same remakes, the same this. I want to see at the end of the day, that's what I'm interested in, is new ideas. And even if
Do
it's
you
coming
think
from small
that's
people like the Bloomhouse thing we were just talking about, people you don't know, that's great. See if it's coming from creators like Mikami and Kojima, these huge granddaddies of the genre, and they're coming in with new ideas. That's exciting, mate. That's some buzz.
Do you think that's one of the key things? Because see, when you're quite and you're known for this particular thing, and companies know that's successful, they kind of want you to repeat and repeat, like what they've done with Evil
Well,
Within.
that's
Jinky's saying, "I don't want to do that. I want to do my own stuff now. I want to do
possibly. So
independent
that
things."
what you're saying now, that's exactly why Kojima left. That's what led to the Konami
Yeah,
fallout. Is because they just wanted him to keep pumping
yeah,
Metal Gear games, and he wanted to do something different. The
yeah.
thing here, though, is the rumor that's going around is that Tango Gameworks they're having a lot of success with Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's a way bigger hit than they thought it was going to be, and I think the conversation now is they might move away from horror. They might want to focus on more not non-horror ideas, and obviously Mikami's bread and butter, Resident Evil, is horror. So I
It's
think,
horror.
well, I don't think this is the rumor. That's not necessarily. I don't know if this is the case, but what Reddit's saying is that that's why he's left. Is because they're moving away from horror. Don't know if that's true, but that's the chatter online. So yeah. But listen, if he
I
goes
mean,
and does his own thing, I'm behind that 100%.
do you think Jinky's good enough to bring like the developers with him, or Jinky wouldn't do that?
Um,
Jinky could bring like people that he trusts into his new company,
Probably,
or
probably. I think he's well liked and he's well respected the way that Kojima is. Kojima brought what's his name, Yoji Shinkawa, the guy that does all the art for Metal Gear. He brought him with him to do Death Stranding, so probably a similar setup.
he could just be retiring. Like
Yeah,
that could be a
yeah, I
thing.
guess.
He could be just
I don't
saying,
see it
"Nah,
though.
I'm
Like
done."
he's the kind of guy like Tarantino or like Mark Scorsese.
Disney
Like
stock.
it doesn't matter how old you get, you're still thinking up and creating stuff. Like I don't know. I can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even that old. He's like, I think he's like 50. He's about ages with Kojima. The two of them are like only in their 50s. I think they've still got a lot in them.
A lot to give.
Yeah. So talking about Kojima, Konami, there's a rumor going about it started on the VGC podcast that Konami are planning a big E3. Now, we spoke a few weeks ago about E3 because it's been confirmed that Sony, Microsoft, and now Nintendo won't be there. So the big three
Won't be
aren't
there.
doing a conference. There's not going to be any Spider-Man or Wolverine or any of that shit. It's just going to be third-party stuff. Call of Duty, shit like that. Well, maybe not even Call of Duty because technically now Microsoft own
No,
that, so that takes that
own
out
that.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Konami are going to be there, and apparently they're planning. I like this though because as much as I don't like Konami and what they did to Kojima, see the fact that Konami have seen a gap here. They've been like, mate, E3's back for the first time since lockdown. The big three, pardon me, the big three companies aren't there. Let's just turn up and go mental.
Let's
Like,
do it.
good for you. Like, seize that opportunity. They should make the most of it. Because you never know. Like, PlayStation might come back next year and show Spider-Man 3 or something, and then that's going to be the big thing. Do you know what I mean? So, see when you've got a chance, take it. So, the rumour is that Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid 3 remakes are going to be announced. Castlevania Symphony of the Night's a big PS1 game. Wasn't really my thing, but people love it. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 7. People love it. They're going to remake it. Metal Gear Solid 3 very much is my thing, and I'm very excited for a remake if it's done right, because they've done and when the Konami Kojima fallout happened and they kind of stepped away from games, they started doing like pachinko machines, which is the machines that you get in Japanese casinos, so like bet machines, and
All
they've
right.
recreated some of the Metal Gear Solid cutscenes. There's like ones based on other games, so it's like Metal Gear Solid machine, a Castlevania machine, like there's all this shit, right? The Metal Gear Solid one, they've recreated some of the cutscenes in like Unreal Engine 5 or whatever, and they're on YouTube. And oh my god, mate, they look incredible. Like, see, seeing those old
Great.
cutscenes with the modern graphics. Oh, mate, see if they make that in an actual remake, it would be quality. Now, the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake's been rumoured for a while. I actually reported again. This is how long ago it was. It was BGCP. I reported on a rumour about this. There's also apparently remakes on the other Metal Gear games, the original Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 2, but apparently the idea is they're starting with Metal Gear Solid 3, seeing how it goes, and then they might go back and do the other ones. And the reason that it's okay that I'm okay with them starting with the third game is that chronologically the third game takes place before the first two. Metal Gear Solid 3 is a prequel. It's about Big Boss. So they're starting with Big Boss, I guess, and then if it goes well, they're going to do Solid Snake. Fine, go for it. I hope it. As much as I think, screw Konami for what they did to Kojima, if they're bringing back my favourite franchise and they're doing it well and they're doing what EA did, I don't like EA either, but they nailed that Dead Space remake. You can't deny that, and it's the same thing here.
Can't
Like,
deny
as
that.
as if they nail the Metal Gear remake, listen, that is what it is.
Well, technically, it was it not a third party company
Who?
that done it? It was EA just sponsored them,
EA?
or
No,
was
no.
it actually
Well,
true EA?
it was an internal company, but it wasn't the core company. It was EA Motive, who are like their own. They are an EA owned company. They are like an official. They're called EA Motive, but they are not like the main EA, if you know what I mean. They're one of their companies, but EA Motive.
Maybe they're
EA Motive are the company that are also doing the Iron Man game. We're getting an Iron Man game at some point, and they're working on that. So,
yeah.
I mean, they nailed that Dead Space remake. Really, really good. I gave it a 10. I really, really enjoyed it. And again, I think because that was such a success, they're going to go back and do remakes of Dead Space 2, 3. They're going to milk it. But do you know what? If they're all as good as that
I
first
hope
one,
not.
then I don't know. If they're all solid, then fair enough. I know what you mean, because EA, you're always like, do I want them to do that? But do you know what? If it's that
No,
team
but
and they're doing it with love and care, then fine. I'm fine with it.
see, like I would be happy with if they done Dead Space 2,
Mm.
but not Dead Space 3. Like at least like I don't know. I heard I didn't want to spoil it for myself, but in the Dead Space you can get a separate ending, a secret ending, and I was kind of hoping that that secret ending will be like taking the thing in a different direction, rather than what they do, so they could maybe do like a flashpoint in Dead Space and do other
Yeah.
ones. But
Well, what,
well,
funnily enough, a game that I liked and not many other people did was Callisto Protocol.
like a lot of people hit back, and they're the original creators.
Well,
Of or
Callisto
the
Protocol, the
creators make
reason
that.
that the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but the reason that he wanted to make that, and the reason it's, well, you can maybe see this as an excuse, but the reason that he gives for it being, Glenn Schofield's name just came to me, the reason that Glenn Schofield gives for why it's so similar to Dead Space was that Dead Space 3 was kind of taken off him by EA and made into more of an action game, and Callisto Protocol was his version of Dead Space 3. Obviously,
His baby.
it
Yeah.
wasn't connected, but that's what Dead Space 3 should have been like in his mind, but people didn't like that. I did, but hey. Chris, with all that said, we're going to move on. The topic today is going to be the PlayStation State of Play. We're going to get into everything shown at that. But before we do, what have you been watching this week?
Mate, I've been not watching a lot. I tell you, I think you should watch this show. It's a show called Letterkenny. It's actually really funny. It's like a good meme show if you're just like 20 minutes episode, and it's just about guys that sell. It's not about that, but they sell onions.
Yeah, you told me. I remember now. I was like, I've heard about this. It was you that told me. Yeah.
It's definitely a good show. It's just one of those shows where you're just like, this is talking about nothing, but I like
it's chill.
It's funny. And I finished The Witcher 2 audiobook. Man, it is. I now see since talking to you about the same guy. It's just doing all these voices.
I've been around it.
I'm like, I can hear it. I can hear it now. Like I'm like noticing, like, oh, this guy's just used the same voice, and there's on two characters that he's speaking to each other, so you don't know what voice he talks.
That's just so lazy. Why would they not just get two actors? Just get a guy and a woman. There you go. Like, why didn't they just do that?
I really don't know. But like, see, credit where credit's due. He's holding up. He's probably got like 100 characters that he's doing.
Fair enough. It's a lot. That's a lot for him to take on. Game is due.
But there was a new kind of a Sandman audible book it's like the third one, and I'm going to listen to that next, and that's going to be. I think that's got it's got like the proper actors like James McAvoy. It's actually got music involved in it, so it's really going to kick the Witcher book out the water. So it's kind of spoiled me for audiobooks because now I'm looking for that kind of quality, and I'm not just wanting a guy just go. Hey, I'm like, fucking hell. But the other kind of show that I loved in the beginning was the Star Wars Bad Batch,
right?
And now it's just getting dragged. It's one of those shows where you just see this is just filler,
right?
Like I think they're using this as a thing to get to the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if people are Star Wars fans, you can watch this until Mandalorian.
Sure.
And then
it's like a bridge,
again. And you can just feel it, and you're like, oh man, this is like Boba Fett. Not as worse as Boba Fett, but it's like, oh, I just enjoy watching these. But because I think the first season was 12 episodes, and then the second season they've made it 24, and you're like, oh, you're really dragging this out.
So why are you still watching it? Just because it's Star Wars? Just an obligation?
Oh yeah, it's just because it's like I love the Clone Wars animation.
Right.
And I'm like, well, may as well watch it. It's got nothing on the Clone Wars animation, but it's
because the Clone Wars was done by Dave Filoni. He's not doing.
He's doing.
He's doing Bad Batch, right.
He's directing all that,
right.
And I'm like, oh man, like fucking hell, like Dave,
Dave Big Man.
Hopefully he gets all his shit out of this,
so he can do a good job with Mando.
Exactly, like because I think he might be more involved in Mandalorian. Like he's either doing one more episode or something. I don't know. I know they usually get guest directors in, but he might be doing two.
Yeah.
I don't know. So hopefully they're good. He fucking's got a lot of experience. He's got 24 fucking shit cartoon episodes. But
after I watched Andor, I need to watch Andor.
Andor's great.
I will watch that, man. I will.
See the way you described it. Like you wanted it to be like a kind of grimy.
Detective form,
yeah, like it's kind of like
right.
That. It gets you as well. Like you're like, oh fuck, you don't realize it gets you because you're like, oh, I'm 3 episodes in, I hate it, and then after episode 4, you're like, oh fuck, right, I get why this is good.
Yeah,
but it takes you 4 episodes to get
so.
But yeah, that's me. I've been very limited.
I've been a wee bit busier. I watched Mithrigan.
Oh, speaking of Mithrigan, yeah,
the Blumhouse movie, yeah. So
was it terrible?
Chris, the main reason I'm not going to go too much into it because it's been out for a while now and whatever, right? I fall in the camp that didn't like it, right? Just out of curiosity. What this maybe taught me though is I need to stop listening to like people on Facebook and like people online.
Is that what made you like go and see it or
yes,
take a chance
yes.
on it? Okay.
I think it speaks to my kind of maybe my naivety or my trust in other people that maybe I shouldn't have, because the same thing happened with Smile. Do you remember Smile that came out last year?
Yeah. Everybody hyped up.
Mate, everybody. Really... Mate, I watched the trailer. Right, the same thing with Mithrigan. I watched the trailers. I thought this looks shite. This looks garbage, mate. This looks like the lowest of the low horror, low bar cheesy garbage. And then the reviews came out. People in like actual film groups, like not just like horror groups, actual like A24 groups and stuff, like actual what you would think are people that have good taste, are like, oh, I just saw Smile and it was so good, it was this, it was that, and then I watched
No.
half an hour of Smile and I was like, this is exactly like I expected it to be for the trailers. This is shite, and I put it off. Guess what? The exact same thing happened with Regan. Didn't watch the whole movie. Got halfway through. The wee girl still wasn't killing people. It was just boring, bad acting and bad writing. And I was like,
Right.
but still that cheesy tone for the trailers. And I couldn't even. I kept saying to myself, just stick out until she kills people. It might get good. Might get good. Nah, I couldn't. I was life's too short. And I was drunk. That's the thing as well. I'd had a few whiskies. I was a bit out of it. That's normally when I watch any old shite. And I'm watching this going,
Mhm.
no, no, this is shite. So
Man.
stop listening to people online is a lesson there. Just go with your gut. See if something looks balls, it's probably balls. See if it looks good, give it a go. Like that's that's what I've learned from this experience. Don't trust other idiots online.
See, the bad thing is though, if the both of them rake in a lot
Yep.
of money,
Oh yeah, they're going
so
to
you
do
now
they're
know
going to do Mythic
they're going to do
sequels. 100%.
sequels and Smile 2 and
Because that is the thing.
it's just
That's the
gonna
thing with
be
Blumhouse as well. That guess that's the bad side of them. I guess they
they're small
they're small
budgets.
budgets, yeah. So they kind of what I'm saying about them throwing a bunch at the wall and see what sticks. The reason that they can afford to do that is because all that stuff there is not really get that much
Right.
money behind it.
I,
So it is what it is. So after Mithrigan being a lot of shite, I watched another movie that I've been meaning to watch for a while. And again, the opposite thing happened. I watched the trailer for this and thought, this looks really cool. I'm going to watch this.
oh
And then,
no.
no, it ends well. Sorry. Um,
All right.
the movie, but it's one of those movies. The reason it pissed me off, it's one of those movies that came out and wasn't shown in cinemas here for some reason. It was shown in cinemas in America. See, try to find. I really wanted to go and see. I'm talking about Emily the Criminal, by the way. I just realised I've not just said the name of the movie. Emily the Criminal. I watched the trailer, thought it looked really cool. Aubrey Plaza and Theo Rossi, the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Looked like a kind of small, interesting crime movie. It's 90 minutes, which is to me is the perfect length for this type of movie. Yeah, and I didn't even look like, also I looked at Odeon because I've got the Limitless card, but Odeon weren't showing it anywhere. Showcase weren't showing it. Cineworld weren't showing it. Even like the smaller independent cinemas like the Grosvenor weren't showing it, and I was like, what's that about, man? I hate that shit. Anyway, eventually it came to streaming and I got to watch it. It's really good. Highly recommend it.
Oh, okay.
What's great about it, I actually watched it the same week we saw Ant Man. I don't know if it was the night before or the night after, but the same week anyway. And seeing obviously they're totally different movies, right? It's hard to compare them. But seeing a movie that's so bloated and so over the top with so much extra CGI shit, and then seeing something that's tight and concise and simple, and there's about 10 characters in the movie. Like there's only about 3 main characters, two main characters, and then like kind of a third, and then there's like maybe about 10 characters that kind of interact with him, and it all takes place in about maybe 5 locations. Like it's not, and see just watching the two of them and being like, this is how you make a, this is a good movie. This is how you make a good movie. You don't need all the CGI budget actors
Good
cameos.
story.
You just need a good simple story, and that's what it is. Aubrey Plaza was great; she carried the movie. Theo Rossi was great as well. Very different to what I've seen him do before. He was in Luke Cage as well. He was quite different in that, and he was different from what he was. I don't know him best as Sons of Anarchy. His performance in this was a bit more sinister, a bit
Was he
more.
like a weasel? Was he like the same kind of character and as the Sons of Anarchy? Because Son of Anarchy he was kind
Uh,
of like a wee
when he was Juice.
kind of
No,
yeah.
no, he wasn't like that at all. He wasn't like no, well, spoilers for Anarchy. He wasn't like a turncoat or anything. No, he was not a Judas. He was like
Yeah.
I don't know. He was just
Just a normal guy.
no. He was a nice guy that was in a bit of a dodgy situation and trying to act as if he knew what he was doing when he didn't really. That's the role that he
Uh,
played, but he'd done it really well. Emily the Criminal. If you've got just a couple of hours, I'd say that's a good one to watch, man. And it's on streaming.
see what's good. Like it's kind of crappy because I just looked up on what it made. Like it was for about 1 million
Right,
and it only made 2 million.
right.
But see, the director guy,
hmm
that was his first movie,
See,
and
that's the thing, right? See if more cinemas took a chance on movies like that, folk would watch it and you don't even need to spend loads in the marketing. Don't need to like put trailers and posters out. See, just word of mouth. See people just saying, "Go and see this movie. Go and watch this movie." That makes money. Like that's all. That's all you need to do. Just
Yeah.
make a good movie and take a chance on it, and people will see it. And the studios don't understand that for some reason. But that's.
It's because they want the money. That's why.
But it's like we were saying about who we were saying earlier was out of touch. However it was we were talking about one Netflix. How we were saying Netflix out of touch. It's the same here. It's like how do you not get it? Like it's been this way for years. You can change the industry can change as much as it likes. CGI can come in, big superhero franchises can come in and change the industry, whatever, right? But see at the end of the day, and there was actually somebody else that said this. I feel like it was maybe Quentin Tarantino on his podcast. So I was listening to somebody else talking about it, but they were basically saying, see at the end of the day, you can put everything into it, you can tie everything in, you can make these multi-franchise movies. See, at the end of the day, people will just look for a good story and people will enjoy that. And that's what people want. That's why Barbarian was successful. Barbarian's not
Yeah.
tied to anything. It was just an exciting, different, interesting movie and people loved it and it made a shit ton of money. That's for no other reason than it was a good movie. Like, how did they not get that? I don't understand. But anyway, sorry, we're getting bogged down again.
It must be difficult to get good writers.
But
Like,
that's the
just
thing, though.
people
I
that come
don't
up
feel
with
like it is
fresh
because there's
stories.
so many movies like this that are great and fly totally under the radar. While you're getting shite in the cinema like that, I've not seen it, but that Amsterdam movie that I think you watched,
Oh yeah,
like
that
you're
that
getting
got
stuff like that that's like
awful. Yeah.
a huge budget, get this amazing cast, and then it's shite, and you're like, what's going on? Like,
Why?
why?
Like, I know. Why?
Anyway, so the other thing I saw, this was an interesting one. We will by the way, these movies, Emily Kimberly and Knock at the Cabin, we'll do for our consideration when we get round to them, me and Courtney. But I also saw a Knock at the Cabin, which is M Night Shyamalan's new movie.
Oh, and the Shyamalan one.
Now,
Yeah.
M Night,
Please, is any good?
M Night,
Please.
M Night is a filmmaker who has had a fascinating career, man, and he's the kind of
Yeah.
guy that, you know, whatever he makes, I'll see. I want to see it because he's had extreme
what it is?
highs and extreme lows.
Aye. But he writes it as well. I don't know if most of his careers now he's always wrote his own films, so he's like, I'm 100% into what I'm trying to
But
convey
this one here,
Like, you know?
here, he wrote an adaptation. It was a book originally that he's adapted,
Right.
so it's
Okay.
he's not he didn't write the source material, but it's based on a book. So yeah, Knock at the Cabin. Is it good? It depends what you're asking.
No.
If you're asking about the performances, then it's solid. Everybody in the movie's pretty great. I didn't. So
even Batista.
he's the best part of the movie, mate. He carries the movie. And Jonathan Groff's incredible, but Batista, like, really, really solid actor.
I can't watch Jonathan Groff because he reminds me too much of Manhunter, and I'm like, oh,
Makes you sad.
like it makes me sad. I'm like, I want him in.
See, the thing about Jonathan Groff though, he's almost too good. Like seeing this movie. So if you've not seen the trailer, it's about a gay couple that take their daughter to this cabin in the woods on holiday. These four folk turn up at the door and hit them with this weird conspiracy doomsday thing that they have to sacrifice one of them to stop the end of the world.
Oh yeah,
like that's the basic plot. Yep. The guy that plays the husband is decent. He's all right. He's not Jonathan Groff. And seeing the two of them acting, it's kind of reminds me of what was that movie with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles? It was shit that I was talking about. The Olivia Wilde movie. Don't Want to Darling. See, watching that, people were slagging off Harry Styles' acting. I don't know if it is that. It's just he's not Florence Pugh, and it's the same here. The other guy that played the husband, decent actor. He's no Jonathan Groff, and it's just there's a certain level that just. I don't know. When he's on his own, he's all right, and then you see him in a scene with like either Batista, to be fair, because he's great, or Jonathan Groff, and you're like, he's not as good as them. Do you know what I mean? You can see the difference.
Like
Rupert Grint, he's in it briefly, and he plays a very different character to what you'd expect, and he does a really good job. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Okay.
He's honestly, the performances in the movie are great. It's more the logic of the movie. And the way.
Oh, but you don't go into a Shyamalan movie for logic.
No, that's true. Well, that's the thing. I kind of agree with you. Like, because I was watching an interview with him night after. It was really quite interesting, and he was saying how, for him, what matters is because the interviewer asked him about his kind of critical flops and his hits and stuff, and like where he is now. And he spoke quite candidly about like feeling at one point feeling like you're the king of the world, and the next point you're feeling suicidal. Like he was talking about the extreme highs and extreme lows and stuff, and it was really really interesting. And he was saying how he's not like a religious guy, but he's a very faithful guy, and he believes in like humans and love, and he believes in like all that stuff. And he was talking about how like the main thing for him in his movies when he makes a movie is getting the emotion across. He wants to get the emotion of the characters to feel real and get that across. And this movie does that well. Everything else, the way it pans out, the logic of the movie, stuff like that. Some of it's a
Doesn't.
bit. You're like, but for what he was going for, based on that interview that I watched, he nailed it. But is it a good movie? Honestly, I don't know. I think Courtney enjoyed it a lot more than I did. I think I'm probably around about a 6 on it.
Did you say it was like a good pace? Like it was a good pace in the sense of it didn't feel like it dragged, or did you think if it was shorter it would have been better, or it doesn't matter, it was just a weird story for you?
Yeah, they probably could have made it a bit shorter. Maybe I don't know if that's
Right.
the issue though. I would say that's the issue with the movie. It's
Nah,
more things
stop
like
pacing.
right. This isn't really a spoiler. Early on in the movie, before they even get let into the cabin, the door's locked, right, and the four of them are standing outside wanting in. They've locked the door and have blocked it with a chain and shit. Now the couple, Jonathan Groff and his man, they're whispering to each other, and then Dave Bautista's like can hear it, and he's like responding. He's like, because like I don't know, say they say something to each other like, you know, go and phone the police, but they like whisper it, so like, go and phone the police. And he's like, we've already cut your phone lines. And it's like, how did you hear him say, like, there's
How did
stuff
you
like
hear it?
that you're just like, come on, M. Night. Like, I don't know, there's
Yeah.
just wee bits like that.
You know
And
better.
it just takes you out of the movie and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I know that's maybe not his point. That's not what he's going for. He's going, like I said, he's going for like an emotional connection, and that's what he cares about. And fair enough. But just bits like that, you're like, oh, come on. Like, I don't know. It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. But I don't know.
It's
I
good.
don't know
It's
if I
good
would
to
ever
see
watch
like
it again. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. I'm glad I've seen it. Don't know if I'd ever bother again. But yeah,
Are you kind of, because a lot of people say when the Shyamalan movies, like, do you think he should stop making them?
no,
Like I remember hearing people like saying they
no,
should just stop making
no,
movies. Are you not in that
absolutely not.
camp? You're like,
Because, like
yeah,
I said, he's a creator who has still got loads to give. So why would you not want
potential,
to?
yeah.
Even if it is
What
just a morbid curiosity, even if everything else he makes is shite, I want to see how it pans out. I'm still
how
interested,
it
just
pans
as
out?
a fan of
Yeah.
his older stuff.
Mhm.
What? Courtney's laughing at my hair. I came out of the shower and I didn't put any gel in it, and I was playing with it
It's
when I was podcasting.
fantastic.
Chris is enjoying the Jimmy Neutron look, right?
Oh,
Um,
it's brilliant.
leave me
It's
alone.
gorgeous.
This is what audio listeners are missing out on, by the way.
The visual.
But yeah,
Yeah.
with M Night, I think whether it's for good or bad, I want to see what he does next. And also, these people that are calling out for him to stop making movies, see if he did that, we wouldn't have got Split. I know that Glass was shit, right?
Yeah.
I know that the trilogy ended poorly, but Split was great, and that was
Mhm.
after Lady in the Water, The Happening, like all that. The Airbender movie he made, like he made all this shit, and then he came back and made Split, and you're like, do you know what? He might make it. You never know. He might make another piece of gold, and I think it's worth taking the chance. Like, no, absolutely, I don't want any
No.
creator to stop doing what they're doing, even if it is garbage. I want to see it, and I want to like I just wanted to see what happens. I think it's worth
But
taking the
also,
chance on them.
like, I think, see if you've got a good director, like, see like the people like Dave Bautista,
Yeah.
he really wants to get involved he wants to be considered like a serious actor, and I think Shyamalan, he must have saw that in him, and
Listen,
he was able to work with him
to,
and push him to
talking about
extremes.
Batista, I think he's going about it the right way. Like, I know that The
Mm.
Rock's, I would say, still a bigger name than Batista. The Rock's still worth more financially than Batista. As an actual respected, credited actor,
It's an easier name to say.
yeah. But as like a respected, credited actor, I'd say Batista's leagues ahead of The Rock. The Rock can still only do The
Yeah,
Rock. He can only do that one thing
that's all
that
you're
he does
known.
in
Yeah.
Shazam or Black Adam, whatever it's called, and he does it in jungle movies. He does, you know, Jumanji and the other 9 jungle movies that he makes,
Oh,
Jungle Cruise
fucking
and whatever the hell. He just does The Rock, right?
pish.
Which, don't get me wrong, charming, great. I love The Rock, no issues with that, right? I love him in Fast and Furious as well, right? But Batista, he's worked with David Villeneuve in 2049 Blade Runner. He's worked with James Gunn in the Guardians movies. He's worked with M. Night Shyamalan in this film. You know, he's making these interesting choices, and he's choosing different people to work with. And as you said, he's clearly learning for the people he's working with. And I think, do you know what? See, for a guy that used to be a wrestler who is not older but middle aged, like he's not a young actor. He's he's middle aged. He's still obviously wanting to learn and still up his game. And I think good on you, mate. I hope he keeps going. Like
yeah. I think he's also worked with, maybe you might not
he was in
like
Dune
that
as
guy,
well.
but Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
He worked
I
with
don't,
him,
no, I
so
don't,
he's got
I
a
don't
vibe.
dislike Zack Snyder. I would say that out of all the Batista performances, his performance in what's it called, the Day of the Dead, Army of the Dead,
Day of the Dead, Arm of the Dead,
wasn't.
was quite
Yeah,
shit.
what
No, it
that
wasn't
to
great.
me is like generic wrestler acting. Whereas when you see him in like Dune or Cabin, Knock at the Cabin, that's upper level. But anyway,
But it's good. It's good to show like it's what he wanted to be considered as an actor,
uh-huh.
not as a wrestler actor. But it also shows the level of the director's influence on him.
Yeah, yeah,
So maybe M. Night Shyamalan was saying,
we
right,
can mold him to
fucking
be some. Yeah,
let's
but
less
the
tough
fact
guy.
that's the thing though.
Give
The
me
fact
this.
that like a 6'5" brick shithouse of a guy is allowing himself to be molded into these different roles, like he seems to have less of an ego than The Rock. I think that's what it is. Well,
Oh
I
yeah,
think
if
the
you're
Rock.
comparing,
I
yeah,
think The
yeah,
Rock's
yeah.
fear to look weak. I don't think The Rock would ever take a role that made him look weak. Well, I don't think Dave Bautista has that problem. I think he would just, if it's interesting, he'll do it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he
Well,
has that.
is that no something in the Rock's contract where
Yeah,
he can't lose a
he can
fight
only,
or
he can
something?
only take a certain amount of punches in a fight and all that.
I
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that
I
he's
don't
got a
think
huge
Batista
ego
has
then.
that behind him, which makes him more interesting, I think, as an actor. But anyway,
Well, every movie he's died in.
pretty much.
So,
Right. Oh,
well,
aye.
I don't know. Like I know a lot of them, he's either been like he'd been brutally murdered or
Yeah.
something.
Did he die in Blade
So
Runner
he's not got a huge ego.
when he was a replicant?
Aye,
Did he? Aye. Did...
it was in. Oh, was he in the? He was in the
Yeah,
beginning in the
yeah.
house.
In the greenhouse,
Aye,
he
it
smashes through the
was.
wall and all that.
Because I think Guy Gosling got him.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Anyway,
but yeah,
yeah, Knock at the Cabin. I'd say give it a watch. Didn't love it, but it's interesting.
there's a
And
lot
M
of
Night's
kind of
always interesting.
you love the thrillers and horrors, don't you?
I
Like
do.
there's a lot of kind
Aye,
of
I
that's
do like
your
the
kind
genre,
of
man.
thing.
Well, I like good ones, not intriguing. So something else I've been playing for review. The review's not written yet
Yes, I remember.
because slagging EA off earlier. Guess what? They didn't send us this code on time. So,
Oh,
well, they sent it. I think they sent it the day after the game came out, which isn't good enough because, especially, so the game I'm talking about is Wild Hearts. Wild Hearts is a very vast RPG Monster Hunter type game. You need to put a lot of hours into it to even see some of the systems in the game. It's not the kind of game you can just play it
wow.
across 2 nights and then write a review. Like I've been playing it for a week and I think I'm only ready to write the review now. Like it's meaty. And the fact that they sent that the day after release and expect a review, it's like piss off. Anyway,
Is it good meaty though? Like, because some people
no,
it's like a slog to get through.
yes, it
Oh,
is.
right.
To be fair, right, the game, it isn't for me. It's not my kind of game.
Okay.
There's probably folk out here that would love all the shit extra stuff that you get, like all the gear you get and building your armor and customizing your character and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, mate, just
It's not
give
your
me a
thing.
fun game. Like I don't need to go in and customize his knee pads. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't give a shit
Yeah, yeah.
about the player characters and how this knee pad's got an extra point in this pair of knee pads. It's like who cares? Like I just it's that kind
No,
of game. Do you know what I mean? Like it all comes down to like stats and like the monster you're fighting will have certain stats and it looks really good. My God, it's beautiful.
oh, is it? Well,
Stunning.
that's
It
good
doesn't.
for it.
I've heard it doesn't run the best. At certain points, there's a bit of frame. I've not experienced it personally, but I've heard reports both on PC and console, bit of like screen tearing and popping. Maybe seen a wee bit of pop in to be fair, but I've not had like a freeze or anything. People are saying it's freezing and shit. But aye, it looks good, but it's also kind of lazy in a way. So it's really it is Monster Hunter and everything but name. Monster Hunter is a franchise that again certain people love that franchise. Not really my thing. A bit too in depth for me and a bit too nerding out over stats and stuff. But people love it, right? This is just it's the same game. It's a third person kind of combat. It's all to do with
Is
timing and dodging. It's not. It's like Dark Souls, but easier in terms of its combat. Like it looks and feels like Dark Souls, but the enemies are easier to kill.
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's not
Okay.
as challenging,
Less forgiving.
but in terms of how it feels and how it looks, that's how it's that kind of awkward, stiff dodge here, hit here, dodge. Yeah, it's not really free flowing like Spider-Man or Batman Arkham. It's more like slow, methodical, and I don't know. It's not really that. Again, that's not my thing at all. So that kind of put me off it a bit. But the monsters you're fighting, the monsters in Monster Hunter are like these interesting concepts. They're like these kind of creatures that they're kind of familiar, but you've never seen anything like it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's that weird line that you're like, you sort of look like a big lizard, but you're not really a lizard, you're like something else. Whereas here, it's just, oh, that's just a big dog. Like, see the first thing you fight, it's like a big wolf thing. And okay, it's like vicious, it's got like its gums and its teeth out, it's got big eyes and red eyes, but it's just a big wolf. And then later on, you fight something else, it's like, what was it? It was like it had like a funny tail. It had like a plant tail that it could like throw spiky plants at you, but the body of it was just like a big armadillo. So it's like, oh, this is just a big armadillo. Like everything you fight's just a big. There's a big butterfly thing that you fight, and it just looks like a butterfly, and you're like, that's like okay, you've made it purple and give it glowing blue rings, but it's just a butterfly and it's big. Do you know what I mean? And that it feels a bit lazy. And then not only that, right? Although I'm saying the designs are a bit lazy, the way they move about on screen and like the way that they fire these beams at you, it's stunning to look at visually. It's really pretty, right? But see, after about 5 of them, the rest of them are just so. See, the last time he fought this wolf, he was red and he breathes fire. Now he's blue and he breathes ice. And it's like just the same thing. You've just made him blue. And then the butterfly, oh yeah, the last time you fought the butterfly, it was purple. Now it's yellow and it spits poison. And you're like, it's just the same shit. Like instead of energy, it spits poison. But so because it spits poison, now you need to go and find this new chest plate that's immune to poison. And it's that sort of game. And I'm just like, this feels like busy work. This feels like a waste of my time. And you never want to be feeling like that. So listen, if that's your thing, some people love that shit. If that's your thing, then this is a good example of it, and you will love this game. It's not my thing, so it wasn't for me. But hey, spoilers! I've not written a review yet, but it's not going to be very positive. I think I'm sitting around about a 4, maybe a 5, 3, 4, 5.
Is it an MMO? Is it a game where you can play with multiple people?
I don't know if there's co-op, but it's not that sort of game. It is primarily single player based, and it is a sort of game, like I said, you need to put it demands hours of your time. So either you're going to be like me, you're not going to really like it, and you're going to kind of be in and out. I'm only playing it to the point that I'm going to know enough to review it, and then I'm done with it forever. But if this is your sort of game, you could probably put about 40, 50, 100 hours into it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you love it, you will love it and consume it and obsess over it. If you don't like it, you'll probably just brush off it. Like, it's that sort of thing. I'm not into it. Other game that I wasn't into this week was Atomic Heart. Now, again, there is a review.
I have heard great points about this game. Let me hear your hatred.
This has been very overall across the industry. This has been very mixed. You're right. There are some very positive takes. There are some very negative takes. There is a review for this on the site. This company, give them their due. They sent us this game about 2 weeks before it came out. That is ideal. See, when companies do that, they've already earned brownie points for me. I'm like, yes, you're giving me a chance to play and experience the whole of your game and then write a review for it. That is ideal, man. See these people that send it a day before and they're like, where's my review? And you're like, anyway, I'm getting bitching about getting sent free stuff, right? I realise that I sound like some rich prince sitting in his castle moaning about his throne not being comfy enough, right? I get it. But the point is, yeah, they sent it plenty in advance, so I got to really dive in and sink my teeth into it. The thing that I would say to sum up this game is that it gets in its own way. Very, very much. At every turn, it gets in its own way. And what I mean by that is this should be incredible. This should be bang up my street. Like, see its influences. Yeah. It's taking a bit from Bioshock. It's taking a bit from Wolfenstein. It's taking a bit
Metro.
Yeah, Metro. Maybe say Doom. It's not as fast paced as Doom, but you know, fighting first person, whatever. I love all that shit. That is my thing. And this, and again, the most annoying thing about it is the potential it had for the intro sequence. The intro sequence is amazing. It's stunning. But then it just misses. So the intro sequence starts off, just gives you like kind of impressions, opens at this fair. You're in Russia. It's the future, right? Russia whipped out this amazing machinery. at the end of the Second World War, and they won the war, right, using this like robot technology. They came across like a new resource, like not called vibranium, but let's just call it vibranium, like something like that, right? That's new resource. That's brilliant scientists
Mhm.
found it, and they use it to make weapons and win the war. And now it's like I don't know. I think it's the present day. I don't know what era it's set in, but it's not like the future necessarily. It's not like Bioshock where it's in the future. It is still like kind of current day. So, but they have all this amazing technology because they found this thing. So it's all kind of like this utopia. You're this Russian agent, you're like a government agent, and
Mhm.
you report to this scientist. You're on a wee boat, you're going through this Russian canal. It's like a futuristic Russia. It looks stunning. Now, you're going through the canal, you're talking to the Russia, and there was a few red flags here. The first thing was there's a lot of bootlicking going on. Like the soldiers very much like, oh, Russia's so good. Oh, this general that found this metal, he's the greatest general that's ever lived. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, right, okay, they're going to do a Bioshock here. The thing you think is good is going to turn out to be bad, right? No, never happens. Turns out Russia are just great in this game.
Oh.
They're the best. And then no, I better watch here in case I get a sniper scope to my Monday because genuinely
Putin's coming for
the
you.
Russian government funded this game. I'm not kidding on. This game was partially funded by the Russian government. It's made by a
Wow.
Russian company, and the
Okay.
Russian government put money into it. So it's
That's why
it's
they've. That's
it's
their bit.
it's kind of propaganda. It is kind of
Yeah, a
propaganda.
little
So
bit.
that's a bit weird, right? But anyway, it's a game. Let's review it as a game. That's what I was thinking. I was like, let's take all the political stuff out. It's a game, right? Let's look at it like that. Okay. So very, very pretty so far. Gorgeous. Small team as well. So really impressive for what they're able to pull off. And then it gets about 5-10 minutes into this intro sequence and you realize you can't interact with it. You can't do anything. There's shit happening out like there's shit playing out like set pieces. There's things like
Mhm.
so you can't get me short tutorial when the robot characters comes up to you and shows you how to use this glove, which gives you like detective vision for Arkham, like you can see everything, and then it shows you how to use your gun, right? So you've all your melee weapons, right? You get a wee tutorial, and then you get put in a car and you get taken. The cars fly, so you get taken up into this like above the clouds, and you're getting shown the city from above, and it's stunning. But you can't do anything. You're just sitting there listening to dialogue and watching it. And then something attacks the car you're flying in. Like the robots turn bad, right? That's the kind of twist. The robots all turn bad, and there's this flying robot attacking your car. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this really feels like something I should be able to play. I should be able to shoot it, or climb out, or
Be able to
do
interact
or
with. Yeah.
skydive or something. But no, you just sit there and watch it, and it's all in first person. And you're like, see if this was Uncharted or even Bioshock or something, you'd be able to do something here. There'd be even a wee moment of like, even a quick time event, just something to do. But no, you're just watching.
To break
Like
it.
it's just it feels you're watching it, you're going, this looks fun. I wish I was playing it. Like that, the amount of times that I thought that's playing this game, you're watching it, you're going, this looks cool. I wish I could play this instead of just watch it. There's a part where you're in these like transportation cars, and they're kind of like cable cars, but they're indoors and they go through tunnels, and they're like.
Mhm.
What's the thing at the shows that you get? The waltzers or the teacups? No, the teacups that spin.
Teacup.
They're like the teacups, right? But they're like futuristic, obviously, like robotic. And you're sitting in that, and then again, one spins out of control. The camera's spinning around. There's robots chasing you down the corridor, shooting at you. The guy's shooting back, but you're not doing it. You're just watching him doing it. And you're like, this could be a really exciting, interesting chase sequence if I could play it. But no, it
Aye,
just
that was
shows you,
part of
and
it.
then
Yeah.
and then he crashes out, and then he gets up, and then that's when you get control again, and you're like, and it does that so many times, and you're like, they get in their own way. That's what I mean by they get in their own way. Like there's so much potential here, and they never capitalize on it. And then so you see this
Mhm.
really cool sequence play out, like the ship at the start going down, the flying car going down, or the dodgem cars I was talking about. And then when you get control, it's like, right, there's a door here, and to open that door, you have to go into 4 different sections of the map, which are all like elements based. So there's like a hot part, a cold part, a poison part, a outside part, right? Whatever. I don't know if that's a 4, right? But just say it's that. And there's a puzzle in each of them. So there's like these balls, these cold balls that you have to put into cold tubes in the cold bit, and then the hot one you have to like. Or you have to get the cold ones for the cold bit and go into the hot one to cool down the hot thing to get the key for there, and then you need to do something to, and it's you're like, this is busy work. This feels like a chore. This feels like, do you know what I mean? It feels like I'm just doing a checklist to just get to the next stage of the game. This isn't fun.
Mhm.
It's not engaging. You're shooting the odd robots, but even the combat's not great. It's very bullet spongy.
Oh, right, okay.
It's, I don't know, man. It could have been great. It really, the bones of a good game are there. They just
It just took you out of the
yeah,
experience too
and
much.
oh my god, the writing is atrocious, man. Who wrote this
Oh
shit? The
no!
script, oh, it's insufferable. It tries to be funny, it tries to be quirky, like kind of like Borderlands, but even more cringy and even more just no. Somebody with no parters written this. Do you know what I mean? Somebody just with no parters written this. Like honestly, man, the writing, like, there's the fridge that's like an upgrade machine is like a sexy fridge. It's a robot fridge that's like, ooh, come and upgrade yourself from me, and it's like, what am I? Is this Rick and Morty? Like, what am I playing? Like, it's just, it's so shite.
Could it be the translation from
That's what I'm
English to
thinking.
English?
That's genuinely what I'm thinking. I'm like, is this because it was written by someone from a different culture? That's a way to put it kindly, from a different culture, and that's why it's not landing with us. Like, I don't know, but Jesus Christ, it's bad. The writing's atrocious. Honestly, really,
The
really poor.
propaganda element really raised my eye when you were saying that. Like they were saying, "Oh, Russia's great," so
Yeah,
maybe
there's
it
so mate,
was.
there's
Maybe
so
they're
much of
like,
that, and I kind of missed this, but apparently there's certain parts of the game that kind of slag off Ukraine. This has all came out in Reddit since,
"Oh,
and there's people from
Jesus."
Ukraine, and I think there's like an image in the game that's like a street in Ukraine that was bombed, and that image is like in a frame in an office in the game of like this bomb street in the Ukraine. There's like weird
Oh,
stuff like that in it that you're
Jesus.
like, whoa, like, and obviously I didn't. I probably saw that and just walked past it because it's just a street in a frame. But for people that are actually going through it right now as this is happening, seeing this on Reddit, even if they're not playing the game, they're seeing it online. Like, it's, I don't know, it's weird, man. Like,
That's weird that they're making money
right?
off of a war.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
I don't know, man. But as I said, taking the moral, like, at the end of the day, though, right? I think for me as a reviewer, I guess it depends on where your priorities lie. But for me as a reviewer, I'm there to review the mechanics of the game. If the game, no, but genuinely, if the game,
Nice save. Nice
no,
save.
but if the game was great, right? If it done everything well, I wouldn't. I'm not saying I would be okay with the political stuff, but I could put it to one side and enjoy the game for what it is. But you know what? The political stuff's shady, and the game's not great. So yeah, not good. I think I gave it a 3 or 4.
I was actually really hyped up for this game when I saw the
So
trailers,
was
but
I.
now you're mentioning
So
all
was
that,
I.
it's like,
I know it's a real gutter because I love Bioshock. I'm so
it's
excited for Ken Levine's new game. Like, I love all that stuff. This isn't it.
didn't didn't grab the
This
candy.
isn't it.
No.
But hey, sorry, that was a big rant. Let's move on to the last thing. Briefly, we mentioned the Gorillaz all the way at the start of this podcast. Their new album's out.
Crack at
Cra-
Island.
Cracker Island's out, and it's phenomenal. I'm not going to go into
Loved it.
too many details of the album, but I've just said, if you know heard it, go and listen to it. Some of the features on the record are incredible. Stevie Nicks is on there, and Bad Bunny's on there, and his song's really cool. And a lot of it's in like it's really cool. Um, Damon's a genius. Like, see just the way he just uses sound in a way you wouldn't expect, but it just works. Like, see the way he can just, like, because I was actually, before I came on this, Courtney went out there, I was watching a wee bit of a interview that he did with Zane Lowe. I really don't like Zane Lowe, but he does good interviews. He interviews talented artists, and I do like watching his show, even though I don't like him. He did a thing with Damon that he went to Damon's studio, and they were talking about stuff, and that was fascinating. See some of the, he's got this like African trombone thing that's made of wood, and like there's a certain sound, and I can't remember what song it is, but it's one of the songs on Cracker Island that as soon as he blew into it when Zane Lowe was there, and instantly you went, oh, that's how he got that noise. And in the song it sounds like a keyboard that sounds like electronic, but it's just him blowing into this
Uh-huh.
African wooden trumpet, and it's like, see just the way his mind works, like he just tries weird shit, and it pleases your ears,
Works.
like it just pleases your ears. Yeah, so
But it's good
the
that he
album's
doesn't.
quality.
He doesn't put out albums every year or anything like that. So when he does,
Yeah.
is that right?
He's always working. Like, and do you know what I didn't realize until the other day? See how that song "Connection," the Elastica song, that goes
Mhm.
do 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 do. That was him. He wrote that. He was dating the girl.
Did he?
See the lassie for Elastica, the singer. He was going out with her at the time, and he wrote that on like an 8-track and wasn't going to do anything with it. And he was like, "Do you want it for your band?" Like, he wrote one of the best like synth riffs of all time and just gave it away. Like, I'm like, that's cool, man.
I mean, he's got nothing to prove though,
But that's
really.
the
Like
thing. That's the thing. Like,
he's just a.
and also on that interview,
Uh,
there's a great part where he's showing Zane Lowe all his stuff, all his toys, as he calls them. He's showing him all these instruments. He's got this old synth drum machine thing, and he's showing him all these instruments. He's got this old synth drum machine thing, and he's showing him all these instruments. He's got this old synth drum machine thing, and he's showing him all these instruments. He's got this old synth and literally it's called like Rock Pattern 1. It's like a preset on the thing, and he puts on, and it's literally Clint Eastwood. Like, see the boom, dun, dun, boom, dun, boom, dun, dun, I'm happy. Like, the start of the song is just, like, he didn't make that up. It was just there, and he was like, that sounds good. And then he built the whole song around that. And I'm like, mate, that's incredible. That's, as you said, he's got nothing to prove.
That's smart. He's
He's got
smart.
nothing to
He's
prove.
like,
Like,
I'm not going to push anything. Let's
if
see
it
what
works, it
happens. Like,
works. Yeah, honestly, I'd say, even though I don't really like Anderson Zane Lowe, because I don't really like him, go and watch that interview because it is good. It's on the Apple Music TV YouTube channel. Yeah, interesting guy, and yeah, really good album. So, with all that out of the way, Chris, shall we go on to our topic?
oh my god, it's been how long? An hour and a half?
Yeah, we've gone a while,
We've been
Pat.
in the
That's okay.
topic.
That's okay. Jer's not here, so we won't be here for 3 hours. Famous last words. Yeah, so we were saying about, shout out to Jer, by the way.
Yeah.
We were talking about the state of play. We mentioned that. That's kind of going to be the main topic this week. We are going to, but specifically the Suicide Squad demo is going to be what we talk about. So let's just get the other state of play out the road first. Because there was one wee last bit of news, which was the monthly games for PS Plus for March. Battlefield 2042 is coming. There's also a Minecraft game and a game called Code Vein. But I think the fact that Minecraft's coming to the fact that Battlefield's coming to PlayStation Plus is pretty interesting. Other than that, the show they showed off like a couple of obviously PSVR 2s out now, the successor to PSVR. I didn't get one for review, and I'm sure as shit not buying one at 600 quid. That's how much they are. They're dearer than the console. A VR2 will set you back more than a PS5 will. Yeah, so I personally wouldn't pay that, but it's out, so
VR is supposed to be like a kind of addition. It's not supposed
it's
to
a
be bloody
peripheral.
more
It's a
expensive.
peripheral, aye, 100%.
Yeah.
But listen, people are buying it. Let's see if I don't know if it will be a success or not. But yeah, they were also they're showing off games for their new device. My issue with that was some of them look kind of interesting, some of them look kind of like immersive and stuff. But 3 of them, I think, were all first-person shooters. It was just, here's a first-person shooter, here's another first-person, oh, here's another first-person shooter. And it's kind of like, I feel like Sony have kind of relegated the first-person shooter to the VR, because their main bread and butter now is your third-person adventure games like Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima. That's kind of their template now. And I feel like the days of like Killzone and stuff, it's just like, let's just make that a VR game.
Nah.
That's the impression I get. I'd like to see. I mean, they've just bought Bungie, who own Destiny. Like, they've just bought a company known for first-person shooters. I hope they do something with that, but maybe not. Maybe it'll just be a VR game. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happened to Bungie. Like, I never played Destiny or anything, but they're the guys that originally created bloody Halo. You know, so like they've got like they've either, I don't know if it's the same people that's still at Bungie, but they've got a massive creative team, and I'm sure they can.
I know. I would.
Like, that was like.
Well,
imagine they done like a VR game that was.
Our topic
the same standard.
is going to essentially be our issues with games as a service, and Destiny is a game as a service. And as you're saying, Chris, I think it's a waste of that team to have a talented creative team like that doing a game as a service. It's like, no, give us an original narrative IP, something to get excited about. And anyway, Sony will do what they're doing, Bungie will do what they're doing. I guess these companies, they're just, I don't know why they make decisions they make. But the rest of the state of play, yeah, talked about the PS Plus games, the VR stuff, and then they showed a brief trailer for Resident Evil 4, which looks really cool. Which I feel like we don't really need to be showing much more because I'm already going to get it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sold. But
did you see when you saw the trailer? Did you get a wee bit of like annoyance when you saw when the Sherry gets like captured in the castle area again, where you have to snipe off the guys? I had
that slight bit of nostalgia that was like, PTSD almost. It was like, but do you know what? If it's faithful and I've got faith. Like, the fact that they've put so much time into this as opposed to Resident Evil 3 remake, this to me looks a lot more like Resident Evil 2 remake, which is what I want. See if this is even at that level, if not better, or even slightly worse. If it's even close to Resident Evil 2 remake, I'll be happy. I'm fine with that, and I think it will be.
Like, how long do you think it was involved? Like, do you think they were doing this before Resident Evil 2 got a launch, or do you think they've done that after the success of them?
No. Resident Evil 4. So it came about. The reason that 3 and 4 remake came about was because of the success of Resident Evil 2 remake. But after the reception that 3 got, like 3 got that reception that it was a bit bare bones, a bit rushed. They pushed this back. They were like, right, okay, we'll take the advice and we'll delay this. And I think that's when I'm actually happy about a game getting delayed. See when the team are like, right, okay, we get it, we won't rush this. Yes, do that more. Delay games. If it's going to result in something, okay, we might need to wait another couple of months for it. But if it's going to result in something that's worth that wait, then 100% do that to every game if you want. If it's going to make it better.
I'm gonna fuck up his name, but see the Jack Crowsler
Yeah,
guy, the guy with the red
yeah.
hat. Like I remember a couple months ago they were saying, oh, they've cut him out,
Oh,
and
really?
I think they were doing that. They were saying that he's no part of
Right,
the game
I
anymore.
missed that. Right.
And there was like a big uproar, like because they never saw anything of the trailer, and then on this state of play trailer, you see a little bit of him,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, that's to probably calm down people to say
yeah.
we've no changed the story in a
See,
weird
mate,
way.
see that boss. Just talk about past trauma. See that boss fight when he's like mutating and he's got the big zombie arm, and he's like, I think he's still like human, but he's got the big. That fight is. I don't think. I was thinking about it. I don't think I've ever beat Resident Evil 4. I think that was as far as I got.
You know,
I think I got to there and couldn't beat
oh,
that.
you were almost there.
Yeah,
You were
I know
almost
that I
there.
played most of the game, but yeah, I remember that fight just being so hard. I might have beat it eventually, but I don't think I did.
I did. Well, you did. Did you get? Is that past the island? Did you get on the island?
Yeah, I think that's.
Oh, so you.
Is that not
You're
on the
all, you're,
island? No, is that after the island?
it might have been.
I don't know,
It might
man.
have been
I
on the
don't.
island.
It's
Because
been.
I know
I'm
you.
going back about 15 years. My memory, by the way, and my memory's shit. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be wrong, but yeah, that I
Well,
remember that point
I'm
being the time when I
confident.
was like, nah, this is too tough for me.
Too much.
Baby me couldn't handle it.
No.
Let's hope 27-year-old me. See, be honest with you, baby me's probably got a better chance now that I'm old and slow. I'm probably going to be even worse. But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. So, Resident Evil 4, and then the one that we came to talk about, Chris, the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Suicide
The
Squad.
first game following the end of the
Batman
Arkham
series.
trilogy. The team that did Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, Arkham City, not Origins, because that was the Gotham Knights guys. But it's following technically in the minds of people on the street, not us, the people aren't into it. This is the first Batman thing since Gotham Knights, so it is following the DC video game, thing. It's also, I think that the Avengers game is still very much fresh in people's minds as a huge negative. And I find it very interesting, Chris, that they decided to go with a 4-player co-op games as a service type game based on loot, based on season passes, based on this online bullshit. Let's be honest, call it what it is. When they could have made an actual narrative game that people cared about. So I was expecting what I was expecting, right? Before I seen this gameplay, I was expecting the Gotham Knights to be like their version of Marvel's Avengers, and then this would be like their version of the Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is way more focused. You play as Peter Quill as a story, third-person shooter. That's what I was expecting for the Suicide Squad game, but it turns out they've done it twice. I've not played it yet, so we'll get into the details of it, but to me it looks very similar, and it looks dangerously close to something that I don't want. Chris, what did you think? What was your thoughts? You're a big DC guy.
I was actually quite shocked, like understanding that. But I think there must have been, see the success of GTA.
Yeah.
There must have been a conversation, because this has been in development for maybe about 4 years, 5 years. There must have been a conversation or like something we've missed 5 years ago that they were saying that now we need to do this service for play games, that this works. Look at GTA, they're making billions of dollars.
GTA Online, you mean?
On all these GTA Online. And the game's still alive. But the thing is, GTA's got an open world. You can do everything in it. These games are story locked. So as soon as you've completed the story, you're going to be fucked.
I completely agree with you to some extent. I think that what you were saying about this game being a product of a 5-year-old mentality, I agree.
Still,
and I don't mean an actual 5-year-old's mentality. I mean a mentality from 5 years ago. I don't mean an actual child. A child would probably do a better job than what they've done, to be honest. But I agree with that. But my comparison's actually a bit more damning, I think. To me, this looks less like GTA and more like Fortnite. That's the vibes I got. See the way they were jumping in the air and then shooting
Yeah,
glowing
good
purple weak
point.
points in midair. I was like, well, the first comparison I made. Do you remember that game Crackdown that
Shit.
came out for the
Yep,
Xbox?
yep, yep.
Crackdown,
Xbox
Crackdown 1
360.
and 2 were alright, and then 3 was shit. It was delayed
3
and
was
they made their
shite,
arse of it.
aye.
This reminded me of Crackdown 3 or Saints Row or
Oh, Saints.
or
Yeah, man, it
Fortnite.
is giving me
Like
those vibes.
that's the
Yeah,
vibes I got for this, and I'm like, these were the guys that did that incredible narrative with Mark Hamill's Joker and Kevin Conroy's Batman, and this is what they're doing now. Like at Disney Compute, it's like, how can this be the same
uh,
team? That it just doesn't
see the
line up.
way see the way I was looking at it though. I actually think I was looking at it a worse lens. I was thinking, oh, Gotham Knights was so shite. This is looks better.
Mm.
But yeah, you are
It's
right.
the it's the
It's
best.
going down
It's
a
like
horrible narrative.
it's like the lesser of two evils
Yeah,
at that point. But that's my issue though.
yeah,
Whenever we do that though, I think we then put the blame on ourselves, because
yeah.
if you then accept shite, then there's no reason for
They'll
them to
just
keep
keep
pushing
making it.
themselves. I think as an audience, we need to be harsh and we need to be critics and we need to keep
Mm,
hounding these people so that they make better stuff. Because see, if you just take it and you just buy it and it's shite, they'll just keep giving you shite. Nothing's going to change. And I think that's the only power that
yeah,
as an audience we have, to be honest with you, because we don't have the money, we don't have the teams to change anything. All we really have is our wallet. That's why I always say vote with your wallet. Um, I mentioned,
but the good thing is the actual gameplay looks a lot more slick than
yes,
Gotham Knights.
yes,
You
that's,
know what I mean? It's
if you're
more
going to take the
dynamic.
positive, yes,
Yeah.
it looks good and flowing in a way. But do you know what? I mentioned this before the pod. Do you want to watch the gameplay and we'll talk? I'm not going to show it on screen for in case the video gets flagged, but we're going to talk through it as it plays.
Uh huh.
'Cause
Is it the 6 minute
yeah,
one? Is
yeah,
it the six
yeah. If you
minute
can open the
segment?
game, it's on the GameSpot channel, minus. Yeah.
I've got it on Eurogamer.
Right. Okay. Well, whatever. Right.
Uh,
Okay. Just right. Hit play on three, two,
one.
one. Right. So we'll talk through that as it plays out. Still hear myself.
Putting the
Yeah. I'll just mute it. So yeah, we get a really kind of quick montage at the start. We see Luthor.
yeah
We get
the Lex Luthor getting
a
blown
wee
up.
brief flash.
Hmm.
That stuff looks kind of cool. Then we get the Flash, and
A kind of monologue with
is it
Flash. Yeah,
just me, or have they really went with the Ezra Miller thing? And not only that, the fact that Ezra Miller's a psycho in real
yeah.
life, I'm like, this just looks like
They're really
this.
amplifying it.
This was what they actually did was they seen Ezra Miller in the costume but not filming during the Flash movie, and they were like, let's base our character on that.
Let's make it.
That's our new source. Now this,
Do you know what that made me think? Like them probably thinking they would want to tie in these games. That's why maybe.
mm,
Let's get Ezra Miller's kind of thing. But what were we going to say about that big
no,
explosion?
no, well, before that, I was going to say a lot of the success of the Arkham games was tied to the fact that they came out alongside the Chris Nolan movies, even though they weren't connected. I do think that was a big boost for that. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they're trying to capitalise on that again. I also think they're trying to obviously capitalise on the fact that there's been two Suicide Squad movies, the James Gunn one and the bad one. To be honest with you, I think they're both the bad ones, but people like the James
Yeah,
Gunn
they're
one.
both shite.
Yeah, to me though, that big robot arm and the whole Brainiac thing, it just doesn't look like the Arkham guys. It doesn't have the same art direction. This stuff here that we're now watching is Harley Quinn flying through the air and shooting guys
Yeah,
over the shoulder. The flying through the air, is it just me or does that look more like a Spider-Man game?
it looks like I think they've took that kind of they're flying too much. Like this would not
So
happen.
so
Like
so
these
that's that
characters would
this
not
that
fly.
this is bringing me the biggest crux of my issue, and the first thing I thought as I was watching it. They bang on before the show starts that you're going to get to play as 4 unique characters. You can go into co-op, your 4 pals can all play separately, you can all choose a character each. But then see when you watch it, they all look the same. Like, what
Yeah,
is the
they all do the
difference?
same
As
abilities.
they're
Yeah,
zooming right now between Captain Boomerang and King Shark. Now, those in the comics are vastly different characters with different powers. See if you're just zooming about the environment and shooting stuff.
yeah,
What's the difference? Is it just the skin? Is it just you look different? Is that the only difference?
yeah. Or
Now,
you have a sniper instead of a Tommy gun. It's the same.
something else that's also
Oh,
taking place right now is Deadshot flying about looking
just
and
floating.
shooting at purple glowing weak spots. Chris, it's
Yeah.
2023. Are we still doing purple glowing weak
Do you know
spots?
what the thing is? It's
Like,
actually giving me trauma flashbacks of Gotham Arkham Knight. Batman Arkham Knight, where you're in the Batmobile shooting tanks
Yeah,
the exact same way,
yeah.
and there's a tank in it as well with the exact
Yeah,
same
you're
thing.
well.
It's just
See,
purple
see,
and
yeah.
orange.
I was going to say that the tank that
It's
they're all shooting at looks like the tank for Arkham Knight, just a different color. It's like,
just reused.
yeah, just like reused the asset, and
Uh,
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like King Shark has a gun. Why? Like
and he shouldn't be jumping
they
that
went
high.
on. What's the thing? They went on about the fact that he's like a tank character. So just make him like the Hulk. Just make him run in and rip guys
Uh,
apart, throw guys about. That sounds fun. But no, let's just have him dive about the way that Harley Quinn and Deadshot do, and just make him the same. And
and like Harley Quinn can just grapple to anything.
yeah.
Like in
Oh yeah,
thin
you don't
air.
need to like grapple on it. No, because there's like wee
Yeah.
robot thing that looks like it falls on that she just grapples onto, which is
Oh, right,
convenient.
okay.
Yeah, so basically she can fly. The the other thing is as well, right? I've got an inherent issue with co-op games. To me,
In
don't get me
general.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I like a wee co-op session. I'm enjoying Warzone now. When you go with your pals and you just shoot the shit and play a bit of games, that's fine. I'm not saying the whole multiplayer thing should die, but when it's games like this, with these characters that you could get invested in and have potential, I would much rather a single player experience where I can get invested. I don't want
Mhm.
to see this story, this DC comic story play out while somebody my mate is talking in their ear to their bird about what they're going to order for the Indian night. Do you know what I mean? Like, that takes me out of this. I don't want that when I'm playing this. And
No.
that's what they're pitching. And so besides the fact that I've got an inherent issue with co-op stuff, right? The one thing is if you're going to commit to it, right, say, right, let's get 40 together and sit and play this. Are you going to be gutted? Right, see if the two is logged on and I went, right, Bagsy King Shark, are you going to care? Because really, Deadshot, Harley
Yeah.
Quinn, Captain
They're the
Boomerang, they're
exact
all
same.
the same. Like, you're not even going to
They're all the
feel
same
it. It's
color.
going to be like, who do you want to play as? Oh, literally, it doesn't matter. Like, unless you
Yeah.
care about how they look, it doesn't matter because they all feel the same. It's. I can't believe they've messed up so
I,
bad, Chris. I genuinely can't get
I
my head
think
around it.
one thing I'm quite shocked about. See, if you don't play it and you're just a single player, is it going to have the kind of abilities where you have to revive
Yeah.
people? Because that is going
Well,
to make the game awful.
that's
Like I think
that's the thing that it's always the same when they show a game like this. It was the same in Marvel's Avengers. It was the same with the Division. I remember the Ubisoft game. They show it and they're like, "Yeah, I mean, this is a co-op experience, but you can 100% experience it as a solo player." And then, like,
no,
I
you
genuinely
can't.
remember a video that was that statement, and then it was immediately followed by the bit for the Division where the guy was like downed and he just had to sit there while the 30-second timer dropped down because there was no he was playing himself and there was nobody to revive him. And it's like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, what are you actually playing at? And just honestly, the fact that they've had this in development now. I know, like we're saying, it's been development for a
For a
long
long time.
time. There's maybe not shit that they can change this point in time, right? It's maybe too late. But the fact that they had this ingestation while you had things like the Avengers game coming out and absolutely bombing and people hating that game, you had the Gotham Knights game coming out, and the same thing happened. People slagged it, ripped it apart,
Yeah.
and then they've still got the brass neck to show up at a state of play to and be like, "Here's our game,"
Here you go.
and it's this. You're like, what is
It's
going
one of
on,
the
man?
like. See, to be honest, the environment I actually like the buildings and everything. The actual environment reminds me of that's their kind of art. Like
Yeah.
they kind of got that kind of art deco art
See,
style with the signs and everything. But the major thing is Arkham Knight had the same flaw. They've made the game too big.
mm,
And Batman is understandable. He can fly, he has the Batmobile. But really, if you have five characters that don't necessarily can have the bat like grapple or anything like that, you've got that problem that you mentioned. They've all got the same fucking
yeah.
abilities. They all kind of teleport. They've still got the same problem they had with Gotham Knights.
Listen,
They've just
I
made
think
it
that's a symptom.
bigger.
I just think that's a symptom of a co-op game.
Open
I
world,
think if
yeah.
you're going to have a game where you give the player the options to play as any character and you give them like they can play like say you want to play this level. Let's take the Avengers game for example. I want to play this level as Black Widow, right? I want to play this level again, but as the Hulk. Oh my god, it feels the
Mm,
same. The reason it feels the same is because it's an
good
online
point.
experience where they have to make their challenge is
You
making
have to
the thing
match it.
playable well, but then that also creates any sense of individuality and any sense of
Removes it. It removes it.
and it's just I don't know. It's just such a
That
miss.
is a good point. You're diluting the characters
Yes.
by making them all the same because the game has to work in a certain way rather than struggling as King Shark because he can't fly. He's on the streets rather than being on the buildings, you know. And
Yeah,
it's like, but you could have done that, made the game a little bit more harder,
yeah.
you know, instead of everybody floating about and shit. It's
I just
I was really looking forward to this until I saw
Yeah, I
that. Like,
know. It's,
I don't think they've
it's
showed
mate,
any
it's
kind of gameplay
killed my
trailers.
hype. I am not interested in this game
Yeah,
at all. And I was hyped, and now I'm just like, I don't care. See this shit?
yeah.
I mean, you had the fact that it's also you need to always be online, even if you're playing solo. They've confirmed that they're pulling that shit where you need whether you play this with your pal, play this with your pals or not, you need a constant Wi-Fi connection, and if that Wi-Fi connection drops, the game will kick you out.
You lose progress.
Like,
Fuck,
what are we
yeah.
doing? Like, we've been through all this shit and we're still doing it. It's like, what is going on? Yeah, then
I'm really surprised even the flop of Gotham Knights that they did not do some trajectory or something. I'm really shocked at
speaking
that.
about diluting the brands, you mentioned the gear stuff earlier, and the fact that you're going to be able to buy the gear and stuff if you don't want to unlock it. Obviously, they're monetizing it all.
Yeah.
The Apparently one of the gimmicks they've put in is you can buy like Bane gear, so like it'll fire venom, like poison venom on the characters. Is that not just a pure
Right.
hoarding out of your characters? Like, oh, let's just make it green and
Yeah.
then call it Bane gear, and then people that like the comics will buy it. Like, it's taking advantage of your audience so much. It's disgusting. Like, it genuinely
Yeah.
grosses me out, man.
Like, see even the Gotham Knights. I know I'm turning that shit, but see even they had like but I bought like I think it was the special edition. It had 60 quid, and you got so many different skins.
Mm,
And literally, I only wore one of them
mm,
because you had to go through all these characters to even test them, and you got really bored
yeah.
with it. So,
Do,
and it's
do you know
it's
what I
so
was
sad.
thinking?
I
Do
didn't
you
know.
know what I was thinking? The difference here, the common denominator that's missing here.
Mm.
There's no Bruce Timm or what's your other man that done the animated series?
Oh, what I say?
Um, the two of them that did the
What,
Arkham games.
what I say, Filoni, but
No,
it's not him.
what's his name?
The guy created
Paul Dini. Paul Dini.
Paul
There's
Dini, the
no
creator.
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm here, which those two were consultants. Well, I think Paul Dini actually wrote the Arkham games, and then Bruce Timm, because
Did he? Oh, I
he
didn't know that.
co-wrote, he definitely co-wrote Arkham City. I know that for a fact. I don't know about
Right,
Asylum or Night, but he definitely co-wrote Arkham City with somebody else. But and then Bruce
right.
Timm, who's obviously another major part of the animated series, he was used as a consultant on all the he done concept art, and he was used as a consultant for the art in the game. I think
Mm-hmm.
the taking that element out, taking Bruce Timm and Paul Dini away, even if it is still Rocksteady, and okay, you've still rest in peace Kevin Conroy, he's still in this game, so you've still got some remnants of the Arkham games there. You've still got Kevin Conroy's voice, you still get the actual developers, but you take away the artistic influence of Tim and Dini, and this is what you're left with. That's the only kind of logic that I can come to of why this looks so shite. that and maybe studio pressure, maybe there is publisher pressure, maybe there's people above at Warner Bros. Games pushing Rocksteady to make it a games as a service. That could totally be an element. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it could be an element that we don't know about. So, put that out. Maybe it's not all I'm not saying it's all
That
Rocksteady's fault, but
that has put a big stain on Gotham Knight now. Now I know why. Paul Dini was not involved in the writing of fucking Gotham Knight. He was involved
Gotham
in
Knight,
Gotham City and the first two, but he
Arkham
was
Knight.
not
Do you mean?
involved in the third one. Arkham Knight,
I was
sorry,
so
yeah,
confused. Right,
he was not
okay, right.
involved. So that's why that was such a shit story because he was
Mm,
not involved in it.
yeah, that
Oh
makes sense.
man. So it is the writers.
Yeah.
There's no
It's
any good
almost
fucking
it's almost
writers.
as if we should just let creators create and not bully them out their own company. Almost. It's happened with
Mm,
Uncharted. It's happened with the Batman games. It's happened with Metal Gear. Did it with Kojima. Like, it's almost as if we should just let people
mhm.
do what they want to do if they're talented, and then and because we know that works. But no, let's just pull the rug out from under them and screw them over so that they leave. Like, anyway,
Yeah, fucking.
I just
Actually,
go on.
I just need to say that I'm shocked. I'm totally
What? Just at
shocked.
the state of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Actually, can I need a piss. I'll be 2 seconds.
But while you go, Chris, I'm going to read some comments just to kind of back this up, just for sake of filling in. So this is a good one here on YouTube for Lewis Barkley. This is kind of what I said about the glowing weak spots. It's like, this is the team that made the Arkham games. Can they not do better? They're still giving us weak spots. This doesn't look like it was made by Rocksteady. That's the nicest way to put it. Yeah, I mean, it's a disgrace, man. While we have a team, this is Doug Shepherd. While we have a team of 4 unique villains with their own abilities, let's show them off by having them all jump around and shoot stuff. Sam Carlier said, "Tell me about Deadshot. He's a professional marksman using a variety of firearms. Great. What about King Shark, Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang? They're also that. They're all the same." Rocksteady lived long enough to become the villain. That was Andy, the pizza lover, that said that. Yeah, they did. Rocksteady are a shadow of their former self. Apparently, it looks more like. This is what this comment says as well, and I totally agree with it. It looks more like the Gotham Knights and the Avengers games as opposed to the Arkham games. Chris, I was just reading off some of these comments. Somebody said Rocksteady lived long enough to become the villain.
Oh man, it's just not fun anymore, man. I'm really annoyed now.
The,
Like, see, just talking to you has made me really hate this game.
see,
Like,
see the more that I talk about it and
dive
and
into
reference
it.
it as the Suicide Squad. That's actually a really good name for this game because it's killed itself on
Oh,
arrival.
it's fucking
That's
killed
exactly what it
itself.
did.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a mess.
Like, they had so much opportunity here. They had
So much
so much
goodwill,
opportunity.
so much like behind them, and they just
Yeah, and the annoying thing is now that reputation, it kind of got damaged with Arkham Knight.
yeah.
So, but now it's going to get like I don't know why there's no like EA. Why are they doing the fucking transaction thing? Why are they doing the multiple player thing? Oh, I mean, I get it. They're trying to make it all you can play all these different characters, blah blah blah. But you're diluting the story by it now. And oh my
It's
lord,
just not interesting, and it's just not a good way of doing things. But
why did they not go doing the Superman route? They wanted to do a Superman game.
yes,
They
well,
really
that's.
want. Why not do
But
that?
to be
Like
fair,
they have
Chris,
so
that's
much
the other
better.
thing that this trailer did. Watching this gameplay, it changed my mind. It made me not want Rocksteady to do a Superman game for the first time ever.
Oh
Like I've
no!
been wanting, as you said, I've
Oh,
been wanting it for years. I've been wanting it after seeing how well they done with Batman. I'm like, get him Superman, get him Superman. See, after watching this, don't get him Superman. Like, no, if this is the team and this is the way it's going to be going forward, I don't want it to be touched. I hope somebody else. Listen, this is a bit sensational. I was hearing myself. It sounds a bit sensationalist. This game might come out and it might be great, right? It's not out yet. Let's wait and see. But
no! It's not.
based
It's
on
not.
this
Yeah.
trailer, this is making me hope that they get the DC license taken away from them. See the way that, see the way that EA and Dice had the Star Wars
Star
license
Wars.
and they got it taken off them. I don't know, man, and that would suck so much because they've got such goodwill for the fans. They've done so well with the DC universe so far with the Arkham games. See, just to end it this way, it's sad. It's actually quite sad. Like,
Yeah. Like, let me. I'm not gonna. I want to see. Has Rockstar got the same fucking staff? Is it the same creative director? It's the,
I don't know. I think it's still the same. I think there's individual creators that might have left further down the chain, but I think the command's still the same or similar anyway.
it's still Seth
I
Hill.
don't think there's been a great deal of change there.
Is he's still the director of the fucking game? Oh man, it's the guy. Ah,
I know.
he had so much
He
goodwill.
lived long enough to see
Like
himself become the villain, like Harvey Dent said.
that's a nice way of putting it. But it's like it's also a thing. You've got such a heavy weight there. You've got Kevin Conroy.
Yep,
It's his last
yep.
game
His last
in
video game
performance.
performance. Yeah,
Maybe I don't know if he's maybe got more than
yeah,
that.
maybe more.
I
There might
don't
be
know.
more like a DC animated stuff, but in terms of games, I think this will be his last. I don't think he done. I don't think he
Yeah.
made Injustice 3 or anything. I think this is it.
It's oh man, I really want now since you mentioned Paul Dini, I really want him to be involved in
I know.
it. He should be involved in every fucking Batman thing. Oh,
It sucks, but that is what it is.
do you think it's going to go? Do you think we're really pushing pushing it to be awful? Do you think it will, or do you think it'll be good?
Listen, I hope so. I hope that I'm not just me, that all the people that in the comments that I read, I hope that we're all overblown it and it is actually going to be good. But
There's no.
there's no guarantee, and it seems to be the way it's going. Sadly, but
Because even the behind the scenes stuff, there's a section behind the scenes, and it shows a little bit extra stuff, and you're like, yeah, man, they've really went. The graphics are lovely. The characters look cool. but the actual gameplay
The
is
thing
shite.
is as well, the other thing to bear in mind, like we said, we're all saying like, oh, this looks like Gotham Knights, but it looks like it plays better and shit. See, at the end of the day, just the same way I'm saying, let's wait till release to see if we're wrong about it, about it actually being good. Let's also wait until release before we decide whether it actually plays well or not, because the amount of games that have looked great in these vertical slices and then they come out and they're broken. We were just talking about Atomic Heart, like. No, or
Oh
was
yeah,
it
it
Wild
looked great
Hearts?
in the
Sorry, it was
trailer.
Wild
Yeah.
Hearts. Whatever game it was, I was saying it was broken on PC. Like, there's these games that look great and then they come out and then they don't run. So there's no guarantee that just because this trailer looks smooth that the game's going to play smooth. You know.
No, but also Atomic Bomb when Atomic Heart, sorry, when we watched that trailers,
Hmm.
that looked fucking amazing. And then, as you said, the story was shit.
Yeah, and
So-
all the stuff that looks amazing you can't play. So what's the point?
no, exactly. Oh man,
Listen, let us
this has
know.
been
Let
a
us know. I
depressing
know this has
episode.
been a bit of dark ending for this show. Let us know your comments, your thoughts in the comments. So, are we? Let us know. Maybe we are being overly negative. Let us know if you're actually still hyped
And
for.
I'm a DC guy. Like
I
you're
know
kind of neutral,
you.
and I'm like
You
I'm
are the
hating on it.
audience. Like you are the
So
target audience, and it's bringing you down. And
oh
that's. But
yeah.
that's the thing as well. I do feel like it's justified because if you're taking it, if you as a publisher or as a company is taking advantage of an audience and of the goodwill of that audience, then you deserve to fail. Like you can't just take advantage of people's
Yeah,
nostalgia and expect to make money. You need to actually do something with it. Anyway,
yeah.
on that
But see, even the fact that you said it's Fortnite, I'm not going to get that out of my mind. It fucking looks good.
on that
Oh
sour note,
god.
let's
Goodbye.
wind up here. Follow us on the socials. Let us know if you want to stick to this game or not. Let us know if you think that
I
Rocksteady
know.
are a shadow of their former self, which I do. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, let us know if you're going to buy a PSVR 2 at 600 quid. I doubt many people are, but I'm kind of
No,
curious to know what the
no.
thoughts of the general public are. Me personally, I think it's too steep, but maybe there's people that are
I
willing
love
to drop
how
that.
we just kind of went over that.
I know
Like
it's
that's like
mad.
a huge step.
Well, to be honest, that was
Fucking hell.
the price point's been announced for a while. Like we have known for a while the price of it,
All
but
right. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
steep. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, as soon as I seen the price, as soon as it was announced, I think it was announced 6 months ago or something. I seen it and I was like, unless I get sent that for review, I am not buying that shit. And
You're not
yeah,
buying it.
sack that. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
See when it's half price and you can get it for 300, maybe I'll consider it. But see until then, I'm no buying it. 100%, no, more than a console, no. Bad Sony. Yeah,
Greedy.
but listen, state of play. What did you think? Let's just listen. At least we got Resident Evil 4. At least we've got that.
It's been a moment.
Let's
It's been a moment.
let's
It's
end on
been a
that
moment.
positive. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a like on Facebook. I'll put the link tree in the description. You can follow us on everything. We're on Instagram and Twitter and all that good shit. Spotify. Give us a review on the podcatchers, so that helps. Give us a comment on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at danboy95. And
Woo!
Daddy's got a brand new SmackDown.